From Fujairah in the United Arab Emirates to Çeşme in Turkey to the World Games of Chengdu in China, on to Manfredonia in Italy and Zadar in Croatia, 2025 has been a breakthrough year for the spectacular sport of MotoSurf, one of the fastest growing disciplines on the planet and certainly one of the toughest aquatic sports of them all. Now we're here at Hansar Beach on the Isle of Colquhoun in the glorious Special Administrative Region of China, Macau, the Las Vegas of the Orient, where last week racing drivers pushed the limits on the Circuit de Gia just a few kilometers from here, and this week we compete on the South China Sea for the MACAO-style UIM Grand Prix of Macau, the UIM MotoSurf World Championship Finale 2025. It's sunny but very windy, and after the two practice sessions, the course here is decidedly choppy, cold and treacherous. The riders across all of the categories have been telling me that just staying upright on these 20-kilogram boards will be a challenge enough. A top speed of 70 kilometers an hour can be reached on these boards. If you hit the water at that speed, you are losing teeth. But on this twisty, challenging course, we're unlikely to reach the top speed. We'll be too busy just keeping above the waves and veering away from the white water. Jake Sanson here on the shoreline, overlooking the finishing boys here on Hansar Beach as we are ready for action. A huge thanks, of course, before qualifying begins to the MMSA, the Macau MotoSurf Association, for their cooperation in this fantastic event, and to Melco Style and Red Bull, our partners for this amazing event. It's time now for the riders to go to battle for qualifying for the final time this season. And we begin with the ladies category. Now, it's going to be an interesting challenge for the ladies category in this finale. The qualifying session split, of course, into 2x2 rotations. 15 riders taking part in the ladies qualifying competition. And so that means we're going to have some very intriguing battles for the contenders. The first rider on the course is the lady from Japan, that is Miki Tori. So she will start the ball rolling. She's going it alone on this particular competition because normally we would have 2x2, but there is a couple of occasions where in this qualifying practice run there will be just one rider, courtesy of the fact that obviously with an odd number of riders in the field, one of the rotations will have to have just one competitor in it. That is on this occasion the Goldfish Bowl in the pond. Miki Tori, 49 years of age, for Jet Surf Japan, raced for her nation at the World Games in 2025. A very exciting competition, of course, the MotoSurf competition at the World Games. That is just one step down from the Olympics, don't forget. So such an opportunity that really knocked for all of the contenders. They really put on a sensational show, and now we get to do it all again as Miki Tori goes onto the course for 2 laps. So, of course, all of the contenders now have to go straight into the competition and try and figure themselves out. That is going to be a big narrative in this qualifying session. Everybody has been struggling to stay upright with the very high velocity of winds and the big choppy nature of the waves. And unfortunately, Miki Tori finds that out the hard way here. In fact, no, that's not Miki Tori. That is actually Park In-hee, the Korean rider, who has gone out first by the look of it. So I wonder if Miki Tori has actually had an issue on the board or whether she will come out later. But certainly that is Park In-hee, who is currently out on the course first of all. It was meant to be Miki Tori. Looks like there's been a late change to the running order, but that is the N-Racing rider, 44 years of age from Korea, Park In-hee. Quite a lot of competitors from Korea this weekend because, of course, it is their local event of the MotoSurf World Championship. We've raced, of course, in the United Arab Emirates, in Turkey, in Italy and Croatia over the season. This is the 5th and final event in the championship. And, of course, midway through the year in August, MotoSurf made its debut in the World Games 2025. That's just one down from the Olympic Games for all of the competitions that are still finding their foothold in the world of athletic competition. So Park In-hee, the Korean rider, out on the course at the moment, trying to figure out where the lines are going to be. And of course, if you fall down twice on your laps, then you are not going to get 2 full laps on the course. So Park In-hee just dialing herself up once again after that early fall and hoping that the second lap is going to be a little bit more cohesive for her. It's a very short course here. The rider's telling me it's going to be about 45 to 48 seconds, depending on the class, for a competitive run. As Park In-hee goes through the first buoy to start her timed run. So Park In-hee, the first of our contenders to go to battle. Not one of the riders that represented Korea at the World Games, of course. That was two very talented individuals, Min-sung Kim and Lee Eun-jin. And Kim Min-sung, unfortunately, not able to be here for this event. He was hoping to be, but sadly had to pull out of the event due to ill health. Very unfortunate for Kim Min-sung, who is the 23 and 24 stock world champion. Not going to win that this year, although did win the Danyang Open earlier in the year. And his colleague, of course, was second in the International MotoSurf Cup last year. That is Lee Eun-jin. She will be coming up for qualifying very soon indeed. She was also the winner at Sri Lanka in 2023. So some big talent here in the UIM MotoSurf. Still waiting to see what will occur for Park In-hee. Certainly in the ladies category, it's going to be a very tight competition for the title. 3 ladies can still win the Women's Championship. Of course, Aneta Shtukalova is the championship leader on 237 points. Eliska Maruskova is second on 228, and third is Sara Zuborova, the new girl to the women's category, on 214. 14 back from Eliska Maruskova. There's 9 points separating Aneta Shtukalova and Eliska Maruskova, but it's a lot harder to quantify than that, as Park In-hee finishes up on a 1:57.73 for qualification. So a very difficult start to proceedings then for Park In-hee. Not quite the pace that she was hoping for, as to the water we have our first pair of riders venturing out onto the course. Now that is Miki Tori, I do believe, the Japanese rider. Very tall she is, competing in this contest. And heading out onto the waves with her, I do believe that is going to be her stablemate for this particular competition. And that is going to be Kim Min-kyung, the Korean rider. So the two riders out on the course after not the best of runs from her point of view for Park In-hee. I think she would have wanted a lot more than that over the course of proceedings. But certainly things working out to a very tough degree as things currently work through. So as the riders get themselves up to speed, we can see there is Miki Tori going through on a 56.250 for her first competitive lap. That is closer to the mark, but she will want a little bit more than that, of course. So Miki Tori getting herself up to speed as she challenges the elements. The Japanese rider, very nearly going in through the right-hander of the buoy there. Now you're probably sitting at home watching this for the first time. If you are watching this at home for the first time, wondering how do they know where to go? Well, they go left of the yellow buoys in a right-hander and right of the red buoys in a left-hander. That's how they work their way through the course. So Miki Tori already on a 56.250. That's the new benchmark set by everybody as they begin to work their magic further forward. Some very good performances so far for our contenders. Certainly looking for a good start to proceedings at the moment. And we're looking to see how things continue to progress. But a very exciting competition currently being whipped through. Now coming through, that is Cha Jin. So Cha Jin has come through on a 52.942. That's already 3 seconds quicker than Miki Tori. So a very good start in proceedings then for Cha Jin. So a good run so far from the Chinese competitor. Cha Jin, 23 years of age, number 140. They do carry numbers, but they are not distinctive as competition numbers. It's personal choice whether they have a number or not. Some choose to and some don't. But of course the numbers they run with in individual heats is denoted by the shorts they wear. That will go into competition tomorrow. We'll understand that a little bit more. So interesting to see how the qualifying run's going. 51.985 for Cha Jin this time. So definitely setting the pace for the contenders thus far, as Chai Jin has definitely found the pace, but has actually just gone down on the course. So not good work there at all for, is that Gao Jiayin, I think. So Gao Jiayin, the Chinese rider, trying to get up to speed herself now. And that is a big problem. Once you go in at that sort of velocity, it's very easy to flood the engine. You have to get started again, try and find the pace. Here's the replay, and it's face first for the rider. Goodness me, not easy at this early phase of the competition. But certainly for Chai Jin, fast, but not able to get the competitive lap time to finish off there. Crossing the finish line to complete on a 51.985. So a good effort there from Chai Jin despite the fall, and that will certainly be the fastest time thus far of the women's category. Not a bad start then for Team China, as Chai Jin has gone straight up to the top of the standings on a 51.984. Miki Tori second for Japan on 4 seconds adrift of that, and Park In-hee rather sadly not able to get a competitive time in after a fall on the first run and then a dip in speed on the rest of pace. So a good start then for Chai Jin. The benchmark laid down for the other competitors is a 51.995. So 3 riders done so far. We're now waiting for the next contenders to get themselves back up to pace. And the next contenders heading out onto the course now then are going to be Gao Jiayin and Kim Min-kyung, if everything is correct and according to plan. 2 riders obviously having to get themselves up to speed and on pace, and then they can go for their 2 timed runs. They passed the timing line twice to get the timed runs completed. So it'll be interesting to see who gets the best of it from the first part of course of action. Everybody, of course, still trying to learn the course as they go as well. That's the thing. They only had 2 competitive runs earlier today. And so it's difficult to know who is going to get the most of it from the development of the course, because everybody is obviously trying to get themselves back on pure pace. But they're still learning the course in the procedure of trying to get the fast times in. Practice was very treacherous earlier today. The first practice session most of the riders used to learn the course, because they haven't been practicing over the variations of the competition on Wednesday and Thursday. Nobody allowed out, of course, until the Friday. And then the second practice session is to learn the course at speed. So it is going to be interesting to see who gets the most of it from these qualifying sessions. We have the jet ski out on the course, that is to assist the competitors if there are problems. But the riders are just getting themselves dialed in at the moment, as into the first time lap we go then for our next competitor out on the course, and that is a board that's been borrowed by the look of it by the Wolf contingent. So that is Sara Wolfova, my apologies. Sara Wolfova getting herself onto the course then. So Sara Wolfova is one of the newest competitors in the category, 19 years of age, from Brno-Lizen. One of the many Czech riders in this discipline. This is where the sport was born and raised, of course, in the Czech Republic. Sara Wolfova, part of the Autocentrum Vyškov race team. And Sara Wolfova, 19 years of age, of course, part of the very successful Wolf category of the family. Young Oliver Wolf, of course, is one of the leading riders in the junior boy category. But Sara Wolfova now stepping up to the women's category and doing a fair job in 2025. And the Czech rider from Brno-Lizen certainly getting up to speed now as she comes through the timing line. A little bit airborne as she comes through the timing line. That shows you how committed she is to trying to find the raw pace and speed. So far, so good, as the pace is trying to come through then for Sara Wolfova. The times will update as soon as they come through on our timing screen. And it looks as though we're going to get a second rider coming through on the time run as well. I'm not sure what happened to Gao Jiayin, the Chinese rider. I think that's Polina Karpova who's out on the course along with Sara Wolfova. Certainly it should be in terms of the 4th rotation. Not sure what happened to Kim Min-kyung. Not entirely sure where she is. So I'll have to try and get an order now. But there is indeed Polina Karpova. So the two riders out on the course at the moment are the 19-year-old from the Czech Republic and the 21-year-old hard racing competitor, Polina Karpova, looking to try and find some pace early doors in this qualifying session. They get 2 laps of the course, and the fastest of the times is the one that sets their overall pace for the qualifying run. Looks like there's a slight hiccup on the timing beacon. Once that corrects itself, we will know more about the state of play. But Sadovulfova has finished her run and now comes through at the end of her performance on the course. And now we're going to get to see what happens with a very leery moment there from Polina Karpova. The 21-year-old just about managing to keep the balance. Not easy in these conditions. The riders have been telling me that this race could be won, the Macau Grand Prix could be won by the person who stays on the board. It is literally going to be that tricky to predict who's going to get the best of it over this course. We can see that Polina Karpova just trying to get herself back up to speed. I've got a feeling that there's been a real hiccup here for Sadovulfova. I'm not entirely sure she's been able to complete her timed run, because I think she only did 1 lap of the course. Now Polina Karpova is adding her time to it. Slight difficulties with our timing. It should come back very soon indeed, and then we'll have a better handle on the situation. But certainly the time that we've got wound up at the moment is the leading time currently set by Chai Jin, the Chinese rider. But we'll see what kind of pace we get from Sadovulfova. Her time is going to update very shortly indeed. And there is the 21-year-old out on the course at the moment. That is Polina Karpova of the hard racing team. You can see how choppy it is. Just trying to keep the board stable is a bit of a tricky one at the moment. The riders totally allowed to use their hands in the water to try and correct themselves into the slalom section. She has gone out through the slalom and out through the final right-hander to cross the timing line, and that will be the end of her qualifying run. Checkered flag flies for her. And so we'll get the updates from those times once they have been ratified and come through. The transponders will still record the times. It just means that there's a slight hiccup on the timing system by the look of it. 2 more riders head to the water, and 2 of the most popular members of the Apex Pilots team that head out onto the course together. And both very talented individuals in their own right here. Certainly not the youngest competitors in the field. In fact, between them, they are 2 of the oldest. But Elizaveta Fajtova, the 30-year-old from Brno in the Czech Republic, famous for racing cars, but also famous for MotoSurf. So Elizaveta Fajtova heads out onto the course. The 30-year-old, born in May, and certainly enjoying her 2025 season campaign thus far as she ventures out onto the water with her Apex Pilot teammate, the 38-year-old from Seoul in South Korea, Lee Eun-jin, one of the most incredible athletes you're ever going to see in this competition. She has a fear of water, would you believe? And yet she turned her discipline to riding in MotoSurf. I mean, if your fear is falling into the water, and you are a MotoSurf rider, you basically have sawdust where your brain should be. But fair play to her. She is a real example to people who want to challenge their own fears and nerves. Well, the times have now updated. Chai Jin is still the fastest rider out on the course with a 51.985. Ahead of the Japanese rider Miki Tori as Lee Eun-jin goes into the water on her first qualifying run. She came so close to salvaging it, but unfortunately, it just went a little bit too top heavy. She'll get straight back on the board, and that's her first timing run gone, I'm afraid. Let's have a look at it again as the engine strikes the buoy, then tries to correct, and no chance. Straight in. What a shame for Lee Eun-jin on her first qualifying run. Now she'll get another one, but look how tricky it is to stay upright. That's within 3 buoys. 2 falls for the Korean, who is no slouch of a rider. She won in Sri Lanka 2 years ago and represented her country in the World Games earlier this year. So a very talented rider is Lee Eun-jin, but the 38-year-old is really struggling here on a course that is unbelievably choppy at the moment. Now, her teammate, Elizaveta Vaitova, is also on the course. Just to give you an idea of how tricky the conditions are, Sada Valfova's fastest time was 8 seconds off the pace of Chai Jin. And Polina Karpova, who is still getting used to life in the world of MotoSurf at the Women's World Championship level, to be fair, was 23 seconds off the pace, nearly 24. There is Elizaveta Vaitova, finding life difficult herself to try and get up to speed. As Lian Jin crosses the timing line to complete her first time run, but with 2 falls, it's not going to be her fastest time, is it? A 1:33.74. Now she's going to try and correct it on the second lap. So much more confident, so much more of an aggressive stance. She comes through the right-hander, goes through the left now. On both of the boys, she fell on her first time run. She has stayed upright this time, as we wait to see what Elizaveta Vaitova is going to do on her run, of course, as well. There is Elizaveta Vaitova, trying to stay upright. Very tricky. She goes through the timing line. What is her time going to be for the first time run of the course? It's a 53.113, so that puts her into second place immediately. So Elizaveta Vaitova up to second place on the course. Chai Jin, is the leader at the moment. But here comes Lian Jin, looking so much more confident, coming through the timing line. Is she going to go to the top of the times? Looks much more confident this second time around. Will it be the quickest time? I'm waiting for the update, and it is a 55.834. So not a bad run from Lian Jin, but I think she wanted more. But the falls on the first run just hampering the confidence. It's so easily done. As here is Elizaveta Vaitova. If she can find just over a second, then she goes to the top of the women's rankings in qualifying for the time being. At the moment, it's Chai Jin from Elizaveta Vaitova and Lian Jin, then Miki Tori, Sada Valfova, Polina Karpova, and Park In-hee. But now we'll see if Elizaveta Vaitova can get out of the slalom in good time. She exits the slalom now, and she'll make her way through the right-hander. Square right, across the line, checkered flag is in the air. Is it quicker than a 53.1? Is it quicker than a 51.9, more importantly? No, it's a slower run, a 1:07.3 this time for Elizaveta Vaitova, so her second lap was definitely her quicker lap. But we've now got some times within the 1 minute threshold, under the 1 minute threshold now as well, so we've now got just 3 qualifying runs left in the Women's World Championship category. And in the next one, we're going to see 2 very strong names, Linda Lukscheider and Barbara Kodorova. So out onto the course go the 2 riders. Barbara Kodorova, who of course is the sibling of Adam Kolar. So Barbara Kodorova, 15 years of age, from the La Cucina Nera squad, also from Brno, which is a bit of a hotbed of talent here in the Czech Republic. It's pretty much the birthplace of this sport, so you get a lot of riders from that region. But the 15-year-old Barbara Kodorova, still in her first competitive season in the Women's World Championship category, fresh out of the junior category last season, along with Sara Zuborova, who we'll see very shortly indeed in the next run. But the real talents coming forward, Barbara Kodorova and Linda Lukscheider. Linda Lukscheider, 19 years of age for the Twin C team. There she is. She's been training young new talent in the sport out in the United Arab Emirates of late with the Twin Z team. She comes from Rozdrojovic in the Czech Republic and is a very able competitor. Great young talent, 19 years of age, and managed to grab a podium finish in the recent event in the United Arab Emirates. So great talent and great future ahead of her, not just as a racer, but also as a coach to bring new young hotbeds of talent into the sport, and is really passionate, along with her mother Martina, to bring new talent into the competition. And they do a fantastic job coaching the new next generation of racers. And of course, she's the sister of the hotly contested elite competitor Alex Lukscheider. So there is the number 14. That is Barbara Kodorova, 15 years of age, from Brno in the Czech Republic. One of these 2 riders have a great chance of going to the top spot in the rankings here, but they need to complete a lap to do it. Across the line comes Linda Lukscheider. What is her first time run? 53.478. She can definitely go quicker than that. So it's a good opening gambit for Linda Lukscheider, and that's good enough to put her into 3rd position, just ahead of Lian Jin. But there's more where that came from, and here is Barbara Kodorova. Having a little bit of a treacherous run through the slalom section, but just about staying upright out of the final turn to cross the line for the end of the first time run for Barbara Kolarova. They only get 2. What has she been able to do? 55.9, that puts her into 5th place, just slower than Leon Chin. But back in the slalom, Linda Luke-Scheider is attacking these apexes and striking these vortices as she now comes out of the slalom, out through the final right-hander to cross the line. This is a very quick run indeed from Linda Luke-Scheider. She sees the checkered flag, and is this going to be the fastest time? Oh, it's 53.875. It's only 0.4 of a second slower than her best. So she remains in 3rd position for the moment. But now we go back to the slalom. Barbara Kolarova, just 15 years of age, really attacking these apexes, so nearly coming a cropper there in the slalom, a little bit too wide out of the right-hander on the penultimate turn of the slalom. That's going to cost her a little bit of time, but has she been able to gain it elsewhere around the course? Her best time was a 55.94. What can she do this time? A 55.16. So she improves her time, but remains in 4th position ahead of Leon Chin. So Barbara Kolarova goes into P4. It is Chai Xin, the Chinese rider, who leads here in front of Elizabeta Faitova, Linda Luke-Scheider, Barbara Kolarova, Leon Chin, Miki Tori, Sara Volfova, Polina Karpova and Park In-hee. And now we get to the top 4 riders in the title fight. And these are the 4 riders still in with a mathematical chance of becoming the champions. 2 from Slovakia, 2 from the Czech Republic. This is going to be such a tall order for our contenders. They know exactly what the score is, and they will come into this with a fighting chance for the title. As it stands at the moment, Sara Zuborova has 214 points, so is currently off the title lead by 23, but the maximum you can score for an event is 72. So it all depends on how many points she scores by comparison to her opponents. That's where it's all going to come into play. And also out on the course is Emma Struchalova. Very talented racer is Emma Struchalova. Did a fantastic job for her nation in the World Cup, in the World Games, earlier this year in Chengdu in China. 17 years of age for the Jet Surf Slovakia team. As we look at her working her way out of the final buoy and across the timing line. So there is Emma Struchalova. We need to see what the first initial times are. Struchalova at 51.304. Straight to the top spot for Emma Struchalova. Not a big shock, but certainly setting the benchmark for everybody else. A 51.304 for Emma Struchalova. I'll be fascinated to see what Sara Zuborova, championship contender, can do to go even quicker. So here comes Sara Zuborova. We'll see what she's able to produce as she comes through the slalom to finish off out of the final buoy and over the timing line. What can Sara Zuborova do? She finishes off her first time run with a 47.06. Big time from Sara Zuborova, straight to the top end of the timing line. Excellent work so far from Sara Zuborova. 47.06. Here comes Emma Struchalova getting herself up to speed. Has she been able to break the 50-second barrier? She nearly does it, 50.926. So she will be second, but Sara Zuborova, third in the championship fight, goes to the top of the timing table in the women's category. 47.06 for qualifying for Emma Struchalova. For Sara Zuborova. Struchalova is second place, and so Zuborova is now leading on the times. Well, she comes through even quicker, 46.225. Very impressive end to the run then from Sara Zuborova to get the time down to a 46.225. And that throws down the gauntlet to the 2 championship contenders, the reigning world champion and the championship leader. So the woman who took the gold medal at the Chengdu World Games earlier this year and the youngest ever women's world champion, Eliska Maruskova, 17 years of age, from Jilava in the Czech Republic for the Rocket Racing MP Sports team, versus her competitor, the 21-year-old from Puchov for Matec Racing, Aneta Shtukalova, who is actually the points leader. There she goes. So Aneta Shtukalova for the Matec Racing team. in the national colours of the Czech Republic. Getting herself ready for a very quick run. The time to beat, of course, is now a 46.2 set by Sara Zuborova, their Slovakian rival. But the two Czechs are now going to battle for the pole position time. The time to beat, 46.225, and they've got two competitive time laps each to try and go for here. So Sara Zuborova is currently on the top spot, but her days at the top could well be numbered here by Eliska Matuskova and Aneta Stukalova. So through comes Eliska Matuskova first. She comes through, working herself to a crescendo. Gold medalist at the World Games, massive McLaren Formula One fan. Determined that one day she's going to be in the paddock with a McLaren F1 paddock pass. Zach Brown, if you're watching, make it happen. This is one heck of an incredible athlete. 17 years of age, already a three-time world champion in MotoSurf, the youngest ever women's world champion. Across the line to start the time run for Aneta Stukalova, the championship leader, 9 points clear in the points lead. But the riders are still going at this hammer and tongs, trying to find the fast time, the fast pace. There is Eliska Matuskova coming out of the slalom, out through the right-hander. 46.225 to beat. Is this time good enough for pole position for the reigning world champion and gold medalist? 48.756. It's good enough for second, but she needs to find a bit more time on the second lap. Meanwhile, Aneta Stukalova is going for broke for pole position. 21 years of age, Aneta Stukalova from Buchov in the Czech Republic, trying to go to the top spot. She wants to be world champion. She has a chance if she can keep her points ratio up. What's her lap time going to be? 49.6. She's actually slower. So it's Sara Zuborova who looks like she's going to be pole position here in Macau, unless the two championship protagonists can go quicker still on the second run. Out of the slalom comes Eliska Matuskova. Final chance, checkered flag. Can she go pole position? 48.7 for her to beat. 46.22 to beat. 48.7 is what she had. 48.3 is what she gets. It's only good enough for second for Eliska Matuskova. Sara Zuborova is still pole position. But what can the championship leader, Aneta Stukalova, do as she comes out of the slalom for the last time? Dances her way through to the final buoy, trying to find that little bit of extra pace. What can she do? She hits the timing line. Does she go pole? No. 49.167. Only good enough for third position from Aneta Stukalova. So it's pole position then for Sara Zuborova on a 46.225 ahead of Matuskova and Stukalova. Emma Struchalova fourth ahead of Chajin and Elizabeta Faitova. So for once, the championship top two have to play second fiddle to the 15-year-old rocket ship Sara Zuborova from Motoshop Zubor from Kostoviarska in Slovakia, goes to pole position by over 2 seconds. What a run from Sara Zuborova. Well, we've been talking so much of a big game from Sara Zuborova this year. She's just been so impressive ever since the start of this campaign. And this year is becoming the first real big year for her as a women's competitor rather than a junior competitor. And Sara Zuborova, of course, who will turn 16 next year, now has a chance to become a world champion in 2026. She may not get the job done in 2025. She's got 23 points to salvage from this weekend. 72 are available. Mathematically, it's possible. In reality, it's going to be tricky. But I think that means that Matuskova and Stukalova are going to end up in opposing groups. Now, that is a big problem for Eliska Matuskova because she's got 9 points to make up in the championship. And if Matuskova and Stukalova are in separate groups, that's a nightmare because she's not going to be able to make up 9 points easily. Let's say they both get 3 wins. They're both going to score 54 points, which means that she would have to hope to win the final with Aneta Stukalova finishing, well, ultimately no better than 5th position in the final to win the championship. That is a lot to wish for and a lot to hope for Eliska Matuskova. She did say to me earlier today, she knows she's got 9 points to make up. It's a lot to find over this event, and she doesn't know if it's going to be achievable or not. But she's just got to go for it and hope that there is a chance to make up the time. But certainly for Eliska Matuskova, 9 points deficit and going in adjacent groups to Aneta Stukalova in the heats tomorrow. It really is time to cue the Mission Impossible music now, because it's tricky stuff for Eliska Matuskova. Right, we're heading out onto the water then for our next group of competitors. We've had the women's category. They're showing up on the times now, as now the competitors are gearing up ready for the next group to head out onto the course. So with everybody gearing themselves up ready for the next part of the competition, we've got ourselves another exciting duel that awaits us. The times showing up on the screen are still the women's category, but I don't think it is the women's category. I think they're done now. They're finished. It's not an official result, by the way. It's subject to confirmation. But certainly, as it stands at the moment, the women's category sees Sada Zubolova from Slovakia on pole position, the 15-year-old, up against the world champion in second, Eliska Matuskova, and the championship leader in third, the 21-year-old Aneta Stukalova. Then Emma Strichelova, P4, from Caixin of China. Then the three Czechs in a row, Elizabeta Vajtova, Linda Lukscheider, and Barbara Kodorova. And then Leonjin, Miki Tori, Sara Volfova, Polina Karpova, and Park In-hee. We had 15 entered ladies competitors, so I'm not quite sure what happened to Gao Jiayin and Kim Min Kyung, the Chinese and Korean riders. We didn't see them out on the course, and with 15 riders entered, of course, that puts us to a field of 2 groups. So that's why they get separated into 2 groups. You can't have more than 12 riders in one race, so essentially all of the contenders have to be split into 2 groups if there are more than 12 entries in that competition. So with 13 riders going out and 15 entered, we have no choice but to split them up into 2 separate groups. Mind you, the riders have been telling me that this is going to be a bit of a lottery. It's certainly sunnier than it was last year, but it's no warmer, and the waves are certainly a lot bigger than they were last year. The riders have been telling me that just staying on the board is going to be a mission in and of itself. It's going to be very difficult to predict how things are going to transpire. But here on Hansar Beach, on the island of Collowain, in the beautiful specialist representative region of China, Macau, we are very much gearing up and ready for the action to continue. So we've had the women's category. Now it's time for one of the most hotly competitive categories of them all, the stock and stock rookies with the Merlin Plus riders. They will head out onto the course next, and it is a stunning championship fight coming in. In the stock rookie Merlin Plus, there is still mathematically 5 riders that can win this title. Fares Ramadan, Mike Michailidis, along with Kuchka, Kolar, and Tanda. 5 riders still with a mathematical chance then of becoming champion. In reality, it's likely to be between just 4 of them, as the Italian Lorenzo Tanda is quite a way back from Adam Kolar. But never say never. Lorenzo Tanda knows that it's going to be a very tough mission out there for the Italian stallion from Monza to become the champion. 5th in the standings, 30 points back from Kolar alone. He knows that realistically, out of the first heat, his chances of winning this championship are going to evaporate. But we still have 4 big contenders. The 15-year-old from the La Cucina Nera team from Brno, Adam Kolar, who is also actually racing this weekend in the elite category. So this is a big moment for Adam Kolar, fighting for the title in the stock rookie Merlin Plus, but also going into the elite category against the Formula One riders of our sport. Absolutely amazing weekend for Adam Kolar. That'll be a tough ride for him. We were just keeping an eye there on the number 10 rider on the shore. Also in the fight in the stock rookie Merlin Plus category, we have the very talented David Kuchka, my apologies. David Kuchka, the 17-year-old from Valdichi in the Czech Republic. And he's going to be very exciting to watch. He currently has 199 points. He's only 16 off the lead then Adam Kollar himself is only 23 off the lead, so it's still open season. Second in the title fight, though, is the Cypriot, a very competitive racer, and certainly this is a very strong year for him. The 18-year-old from Limassol for the Seawolf Watersports Foresight Sports entry, Mike Michailidis, with a good chance to become champion here. He's got to make up 13 points, but it's still achievable. It's still doable. But the man they've all got to beat is the superb ace from Al Zraa on the Water Sports Club of Kuwait, Fares Ramadan, the 18-year-old with a great chance to give the Middle East a title in 2025. And what a chance that is for Fares Ramadan. That's in the Rookie Merlin Plus category. In the stock category, we've also got a great title fight, although in reality, with 4 riders in the hunt, there is only one man who is looking good at the moment to become the champion. Of the 4, we have the 21-year-old Adam Janusek from Apex Pilots, who is based out of Brno-Jendrov, formerly of the Magnum Sport team, but he changed over to the Apex Pilots team mid-season. He's 4th in the standings, just 5 points ahead of the very impressive Hassan Bawabas, who is another competitive rider in his own right, and certainly one to watch out for here. Hassan Bawabas, 28 years of age, from the Kuwait Sea Sport Club. Also in the fight in the stock category is everybody's favourite Korean legend, Kim Down, who has just been stellar in everything he has taken on this year. He's already wrapped up the Masters Championship title coming into this event, because, of course, the 2 riders that could have taken the title off him mathematically are not here for this event. David and Petr Poznik both decided to sit out of the competition, and the man who is 4th in the standings, Arkadia Zionora of Poland, is 73 points back from Kim Down, and there are 72 points available, so it is impossible for the Korean to lose the Masters Championship title. But he also wants to be the Stock Championship winner as well and win 2 titles in one season. The only way to do that is to cook up a miracle against the stunning performance of the American from Charlotte in North Carolina, the 29-year-old Anthony Squire, who has just been invincible these last few weeks. He absolutely dominated the opposition at Zadar in Croatia, winning all 3 of the mandatory heats he needed to, and the final, to come away with a 72-point maximum, and now put himself a full 32 points clear in the championship. He can effectively win this championship in the opening heat with a decent top 3 result to put it beyond mathematical doubt. So it's looking very strong indeed for Anthony Squire, who doesn't really have to work hard this weekend. He just has to show up, which he's already done. So good work so far from the American. But that doesn't mean we won't get a good fight. We're going to get some fantastic riders coming out onto the course, and with 29 of them across the stock rookie and stock categories, that means we're going to have a very busy time of it in qualifying, with the riders set to come out very shortly indeed. So a slight delay here. I think there's a slight technical issue that just needs to be cleaned up. Occasionally we get a bollard or 2 that is out of position, or a slight reset that's needed for the timing monitor, whatever it might be that needs to happen. It was obviously needing to be happened fairly quickly, but there is a gap in proceedings as well that is taken into the proceedings. It is now exactly 1:33 local time, which is the time given for the qualifying practice session to run for the stock and stock rookie contenders. So we should be seeing the first of our competitors out on the course very soon indeed, and that is going to be Nikita Karpov, who will come out onto the course first. So with Nikita Karpov setting the tone for the competitors to head out onto the course, we will then have Suguru Ikeda and Natapa Kanchanapon. Then we'll have Seong Jiang and Maxim Gavronov, followed by Jin Shulin and Feng Zhanghao. Kitai Kim will come out along with Gamonlapop Suntonvapat. Then we'll have Jaime Hunkache and Alexander Lana from Zhang Mao Shu and Kim Min Jun, Han Tai Hee and Vladimir Andel. And then we'll have Ismail Kaptanoglu and Maisio Liam. And then we have Behir Yoganchila from Jan Travnicek, Damian Kadlic and Lorenzo Tanda, Adam Janusek and Hassan Bawabas from Adam Kollar, David Kuchka, Kim Down, Mike Michailidis, Fares Ramadan and Anthony Squire. So venturing out onto the course then for the first of our timed runs, it is the number 11, the 15-year-old Nikita Karpov, who heads out onto the course to start the timing line for the qualifying session of the stock and stock rookies. Venturing out onto the course, just making sure that the feet are in the clips, and then learning the course again, because it changes all the time in this particular category. You've got to remember that this is not like any other form of racing. The waves obviously change the nature of the course all the way through. Although I notice actually that in the last 5 minutes or so without running, we've actually had a dip in the waves. So it doesn't look quite as treacherous as it was during the women's qualifying session, which is unfortunate for the women's category, of course. They're done for the day, of course, after qualifying practice. They can chill out now. But certainly it's all guns blazing now for the stock and stock rookies to head out onto the course. Here are the starting positions for the three groups. And it is going to be very busy indeed. We'll work them through on your screen. It's going to be Nikita Karpov that will start the ball rolling. Then Suguru Ikeda and Natapash Kanchanapon. And then we'll have a fantastic rotation. 29 riders in total in the stock competition. Concluding, of course, with the big guns leading the championship fight across the stock and rookie stock categories. So now hopefully it's time for Nikita Karpov to set off onto the South China Sea and charge away for qualifying. Let's see what he'll get in terms of pace. Yellow flag is in the air. That basically tells Nikita Karpov he needs to get on with it essentially and go for the lap. He now has the pace up, so now he will do so. Across the timing line, he goes into the course. So Nikita Karpov, very tall for his 10 to 15 years of age, and that certainly doesn't make it particularly easy as a rider on MotoSurf. The shorter rider definitely gets the benefit rather than the taller rider. Oh, and that is a big mistake for Nikita Karpov as he catches the wave at exactly the wrong moment. Starting the stock rookies category on a rather sour note there. So we'll watch again, I wonder, potentially on a replay, but it's all gone wrong indeed there, as you can see, for Nikita Karpov. Trying to get himself back up to pace again and just trying to get the balance together. The thing is, once you fall once, it's easy to fall again. He just lost completely the angle, rotated of the board at 45 degrees. So easy to go in at that angle. And so Nikita Karpov goes into the drink, the first of the stock rookie riders to do so. Working his way back through the slalom now. And this is all about confidence. Once you've gone into the water, your confidence is destroyed. You've got to try and build it back up again. And it all comes from muscle memory. That work that was done in the first practice session. Well, he works his way through the slalom across the timing line. And this is going to be a fairly straightforward time for the other riders to beat. 1:21.674, courtesy of the fall. So he would have lost about 30 seconds on that fall, I would have thought. Now he's got to try and balance it out again. You can see how difficult it is to stay upright. So tricky with the waves chopping the way they are. But this is all about confidence. You've got to know where the board is going to go. And Nikita Karpov, at 15 years of age, is still very new to this competition. Oh my word, it's lurching all over the shop. So difficult to find the confidence in the board. As he passes the long lap, they'll be taking that tomorrow for the first time. But at the moment, it's just staying on the completeness of the course through the slalom. The board balancing. Oh, good save. That was a tough catch for Nikita Karpov in the slalom. Very loose, but managing to survive after a very difficult moment. Out through the right-hander. It will be a complete clean lap, and let's see what the time is going to be for Nikita Karpov. Comes through, having completed the run, a 1:04.691. So that's the benchmark then for everybody else. And Nikita Karpov does a 1:04.691. So he'll be dissatisfied with the fall on the first run, but he was able to find a much quicker pace on the second. And that lays down the gauntlet for everybody else. Out onto the course then come the Japanese and Thai riders, Suguru Ikeda and Natapak Kanchanapon, heading out onto the course this time. So we'll get to see what the two riders are capable of. The 37-year-old from Kanagawa in Japan, Suguru Ikeda, racing for the Jet Surf Japan team. And alongside him, all the way from Bangkok in Thailand, the 27-year-old Natapak Kanchanapon. So it'll be quite interesting to see what these two riders make of the course. They're up on the far side of it, just trying to dial the boards in and get warmed up. Certainly very competitive so far from our riders. And we're getting a real sense of where the pace is from all of our competitors thus far on the course. As through to start the run comes Suguru Ikeda. The Japanese rider really starting to find the confidence threshold now. And the feat of endurance on this course, you've really got to be chopping. The wind has picked up again, and so the waves have started to extend now a little bit more. But Suguru Ikeda attacking these boys, really starting to find a little bit more of a wider berth in some of these radiuses. So this is going well for Suguru Ikeda. He looks very strong. Into the course now comes the Thai, Natapak Kanchanapon, looking to try and find his own strong pace. Suguru Ikeda's really getting some great angles here through the slalom, as Kanchanapon is just starting to extend his radiuses. Right, out of the final turn comes the hard-charging Suguru Ikeda. This is going to be sub-60 by the look of things. 51.4 straight into the firing line from Suguru Ikeda. No messing about from the Japanese rider. 51.4. That's massive to start things off in the stock category. A very impressive beginning then from Suguru Ikeda. And that could be the fastest time for quite a long time in this category. So we wait to see what Natapak Kanchanapon can deliver. It's been a smoother run. I wouldn't say it's been as quick. Let's have a look and see what Kanchanapon can do. 57.4, so it's still a very competitive time. Suguru Ikeda is going quicker still. Here he is in the slalom. Finds decent run out of the slalom, in through the right-hander. Can he beat his own time? A 51.40 to beat for Suguru Ikeda. What has he done? 52.2. It's not quite as quick as it was before, but what a start for the Japanese rider, Suguru Ikeda. Very impressive indeed out of the blocks, and that is a very competitive start to his stock campaign for this week. Excellent performance so far then from the Japanese rider from Kanagawa. Oh, and down! Oh, it was just a little bit too far over for Natapak Kanchanapon. Pushing a little bit too hard in the slalom. Nose of the board went in first, and he had no chance to recover it. That's such a shame. So his time will remain at a 57.478, and he can't even get back on the board. The waves are so treacherous in that part of the slalom. I think he's going to bail. Yeah, he bails. What a shame for Natapak Kanchanapon, looking for a competitive time, and he didn't find it on the second run. So the other two riders are now venturing out onto the course. Here's how he did it. Oh dear. Trouble is, the board was about 75% in the water at that point. So that was that. Easily done. And it's game over, essentially, for his qualifying run. So Suguru Ikeda now on a 51.401. That's going to be tough to beat, but there's at least 6 riders in the field that have the pace to do so. So it's definitely going to be a tough one for all of our contenders here. So Suguru Ikeda is on the top spot, but now we've got the other 2 riders to join in the fun for the next run. Seong Jang and Maxim Gavronov. So now time to see what these 2 riders can add to the show. Seong Jang, 27 years of age from Korea. Hoping to get up to speed along with the very strong talents of the 37-year-old Maxim Gavronov. One of the elder statesmen in this competition, but certainly able to mix it up with the best of them. So through to the starting line then comes our first rider of the 2 to put down the pace. I do believe that is Maxim Gavronov, who is on the board. Very aggressive stance through the 3rd buoy. Through 5. Then through 6, the left-hander. You go right of the red to go left and left of the yellow to go right on these courses in MotoSurf. Very aware there could well be people watching this sport for the very first time still. How fast can these boards go? Well, because they're only 20 kilograms in weight roughly, they can get to a top speed of about 70 kilometers an hour if they are pushed on a flat bit of water. And if you're going in the water at that speed, you're definitely going to know about it. I'll have a headache to last you a fortnight. Out at the end of a very competitive run comes Maxim Gavranov. Let's see what his time is going to be good enough for. Certainly a spirited run. Oh, sorry, that was Xiong Jiang who went through first. Maxim Gavranov is on the purple jersey coming after it. So straight up to second for Xiong Jiang. 1/10 of a second off the pace of Suguru Ikeda. But he's got a problem here. He may well catch up to Maxim Gavranov on his second qualifying run. Now, of course, they've got the slalom coming up, so they can choose to go the alternative route to where the other rider went. And I'm sure that is what Xiong Jiang is going to do. Indeed, he does. He goes right where Maxim Gavranov goes left. So he's obviously going to try and pick up the pace and go quicker than Gavranov. But he's still going to exit the slalom after him. So Maxim Gavranov is going to finish his first time run just as Xiong Jiang finishes his second. So the checkered flag has come out for Xiong Jiang. And it's a 52.64. He's not going to improve. Maxim Gavranov does a 54.9, so he can still improve. But Xiong Jiang has done both of his time runs now. He didn't see the checkered flag as, of course, Maxim Gavranov was coming right in behind him. But he's now done both of his time laps, so he cannot improve. But Maxim Gavranov will want to improve on a 54.96, that's for sure. As they come up to the slalom for the last time, Gavranov goes left. So I'm not entirely sure what Xiong Jiang is hoping to gain here from running the course a third time, other than knowledge, essentially. So out of the course comes Maxim Gavranov. Checkered flag is waved for both riders. Can Maxim Gavranov improve his time? It was a 54.96. Can he go better? Yes, 54.2. So 54.2 for Maxim Gavranov. So that puts him third position, 2.8 deficit to Suguru Ikeda, who leads the standings by just 0.124 over Xiong Jiang. So it's certainly a good start here. Still plenty more to come here on Hansar Beach in Colwyn Island, in the beautiful Chinese special representative of Macau. So coming up to 2 p.m. local time, you would have no idea at all that the air temperature is 22 degrees Celsius. In these winds, it feels about 15 degrees Celsius, I tell you. Very tricky indeed for the riders to cope with, I'm sure. But certainly it's very tricky stuff. So out onto the course, two more riders, both from China. Jin Shulin and Feng Xianghao. So we'll get to see what these two particular riders are capable of. Good to see them joining in the World Championship in the final round. Obviously, big contenders in the Asian discipline of MotoSurf. Jin Shulin, 23 years of age. And his countryman, 19-year-old Feng Xianghao. Big new talents for the future then of the stock category. Hoping that they're going to elevate themselves as they continue to move further forward. Big opposition then from Jin Shulin as he tries to work his way through the third buoy, keep it upright. Looking so smooth, I have to say, not even looking a whisker out of joint here as the 19-year-old Feng Xianghao is heading for the finish line as well to begin his qualifying runs. He's got himself down on the board, so he's going to start his time run. There he goes, across the timing line to begin his 2 laps of the course. And so we'll see what the 19-year-old Feng Xianghao is able to do in opposition. Can he go to the top spot? He's certainly going to have to work at it. Through 4, through 5, looking calm. And although the waves are very choppy and intense at the moment, he's certainly getting the best of it as he continues to make the solid progress. So good stuff so far. As Jin Shulin has come across the line, 46.4. That's the new time to beat then for Jin Shulin. 46.456 for the Chinese ace. That's definitely a big time, but we'll see if that's beatable. Here comes the 19-year-old, Feng Hao. What can he do for his first time lap? Is it quicker? 46.45 to beat. 46.49, goodness me. Nothing in it between the two riders at the moment. Just 36 thousandths of a second between the two men in their first two time runs. Well, here comes Jin Shulin. Really attacks the final boy. Looking for the timing line. Is it going to be quicker than a 46.45? No, 47.7. So 47.7, not good enough for Jin Shulin to improve, but he is number one at the moment. But if Feng Hao can find just 37 thousandths of a second more on this time run, then he goes to the top spot. Out through the right boy, cut the line, push to the checkered flag. Is it going to be the top time from Feng Hao? Does he go top? Yes! 46.031. He finds 0.4 of a second more. So the 19-year-old from China, Feng Hao, goes to the top spot for the time being. And that is a new fastest lap of the course. 46.031 from the 19-year-old from China, Feng Hao. So that's the benchmark. If you want to go to pole position, you've got to crack 46 flat. Out onto the course now come two more great talents. From Korea, it's Kitai Kim. And from Thailand, it is Kamonapop Suntonvapar. So we'll get to see what these two are able to bring to the party. Kitai Kim, 22 years of age. And the Korean rider, one of many who have come here for this particular event. Obviously nice and easy for them to do so because it's certainly easier for them to get here than it is to go to the events in the UAE, Turkey, Italy or Croatia, the previous four events of the World Championship. They're certainly looking good as just popping in behind me is a very curious Manas Ramadan. He wants to keep an eye on the, Hassan Bouaba, wants to keep an eye on the pace at the moment. I actually want to see if he's up for a quick word, seeing as how he's popped in. Hassan Bouaba's just behind me. Hassan, how was the pace in the practice sessions this morning? So what can you tell us about the characteristics of the course here? What's going to be the defining feature of the performances out here? And you've got a sort of an outside chance still in the championship fight, but you've got a lot of points to make up. Where do you think there's a chance to make that happen? You're just going for all in for the W, right? Okay, Hassan, thank you so much for talking to us. Cheers, buddy. So we'll get competitors through the course of the event, hopefully popping in and having a quick word when they've got a chance to. While Hassan was chatting to us, we've got Kitai Kim's first time run, but he fell on that time run, unfortunately, so that one's not going to be a complete time lap for him. But we've also got Kamonapop Suntonvapar on the course. So we'll see what Suntonvapar is able to give us in terms of a lap time as well. Everybody wanting to find some pure pace. Out of the turn then comes Kamonapop Suntonvapar, and we'll see what the Thai rider is able to produce for his first time lap. Let's see what he comes up with. 1 minute 4.04, so he's obviously going to have to try and find a little bit more if he wants to get close to the mark. The lean angle you need if you want to be on the pace here is so aggressive. As here comes Kitai Kim, the Korean rider, working his way out of the slalom. Not easy to find the pace, I tell you. Oh, balancing on the ragged edge out of the slalom. And so Kitai Kim is able to put a competitive time on the board. He sees the checkered flag this time. What is he able to give us? Is it sub 60? No, it's not. It's a 104.489. Slightly slower than that of Kamonapop Suntonvapar. So that's only good enough for 8th place, I'm afraid, for Kitai Kim. And now we wait to see what the Thai rider, Kamonapop Suntonvapar, is able to finish off with. Can he go sub 60? He's done a 1 minute 4.0. He might be able to find a little bit more. Oh, out of the final corner. Throwing it away on the line. What a shame. Big effort needed there, and unfortunately just throwing it all away on the final boy. Ah, that's agony for Comandopop Sintonopol. I think that would have been quicker as well. I think that would have been a sub-60. Well, bitter disappointment for the Thai. Not what he needed in the slightest. Pushing so hard, looking very good indeed out of the slalom. And just that final buoy, here it is. Whoops. And it's what happens is the board gets 45 degrees. Then as he turns, it basically goes 90 degrees square with about an inch out of the water. And it throws the rider out. Nothing you can do. So now we get two more riders to head out onto the course. The 40-year-old from China, Jaime Hinkachi. And we got the very talented Swedish rider, the 19-year-old Alexander Lanner. So we've got through some of the new faces and regular contenders. Now we're getting ourselves towards the tough nuts to crack, because things are going to be pretty tricky from here on out. Jaime Hinkachi and Alexander Lanner, two riders to watch out for. They'll try and break the 50-second mark. But certainly the time to beat is the 19-year-old from China, Feng Shenghao, 46.031 to beat at the moment. So Jaime Hinkachi is getting himself up to speed once again. Racing as he is for the Jet Surf Orlando team. Racing under a Chinese license, but of course Orlando certainly doesn't sound like it's in China, does it? So Jaime Hinkachi running under his Chinese roots. As through comes the talented Swede for the Swedish national team, Alexander Lanner, very nearly flying himself into the drink there at buoy number 3. But managing to catch it all back up together. There is Jaime Hinkachi on your screen, out of the slalom and completing a relatively smooth start. Let's see what his time is. He gets the yellow flag, which is the signal for 1 lap to go. And he does a 55.832, so he's already gone sub-60. But already Alexander Lanner in the slalom trying to find even more. And there is Alexander Lanner. A very thin, very muscular Swedish athlete here, trying to find his weight into this competition. His first time run is good enough for a 47.8. So Alexander Lanner right up to pace as he dips right in to the turn 3 buoy. And now we're going to see if there's any more left in the tank for Jaime Hinkachi. Jaime Hinkachi looking for a little bit more out through the slalom. Pushing, pushing. Is there a little bit more to find? Just trying to keep it upright. That's the thing. He's read the signs and seen that if you stay upright in this competition, you'll get a chance of a decent result. Checkered flag. Is he going to improve on the 55.832? The answer is yes. 54.408. But he crosses the line and falls in. Alexander Lanner is going to cross the line. And this time it's going to be close to a 47.8. What can he do? Is it quicker than a 47.8? 48.5. 48.5 for the showman, Alexander Lanner. Great work from the Super Swede. And he gets a little bit of airtime at the end there as well. Good lad. 47.829. That puts him into 3rd position. 1.7 off the pace of Feng Shenghao. But he's right in there. And he's still waving to the crowd. Good stuff. Alexander Lanner, one of the most popular new faces in the world of the World Championship at MotoSurf. Great to see him. Oh, and on the preparation run, someone's gone in, trying to get up to speed already. We've got 2 more riders venturing out onto the course. That is going to be Zhang Maozhu and Kim Min-chun. So for China and for Korea, our next 2 riders facing the deadly waves here on the South China Sea. That's a replay of what happens when you push it just a little bit too far. Hadn't even started the qualifying run yet. That's how tricky it is. That is Zhang Maozhu finding the water very early on. That is the 247. Kim Min-jung of the N Racing team, 38 years of age from Korea. Very talented competitor. Has done a great job out in the Asian MotoSurf scene, as too, of course, has his colleague out on the water, Zhang Maozhu. So Zhang Maozhu, 24 years of age from China. 2 more riders to take on the challenges of the waves. At the moment, they're just trying to dial the boards in, just getting up to speed. Then they'll attack the first buoy. So we're waiting for the riders to begin their run. It looks like it's going to be Zhang Maoxu to take the line first. Here we go. So Zhang Maoxu begins and sets off to find a time, the Chinese rider, in the hope that he's going to get himself a decent run through the boys. Boy 3, it's wayward, but it is upright. 5, plants a kisser on the inside of both 5 and 6. Out through 7. Launches the board forward up past the long lap and then out through the right, back into the slalom at 10. Takes the right-hand route. Meanwhile, there is the hard charge from Kim Min-jun, the Korean, for the N Racing team. He sets off in his pursuit of a fast time. So both riders hoping for a good start. Zhang Maoxu really attacking. He's got to find a competitive time here. The time to beat is going to be a 46.03. Has he gone quicker? 46 flat. Absolutely amazing. 46.000 and then falls in. Well, that is pushing the limit. Zhang Maoxu gets the top spot and then collapses into the waves. He won't get a second lap in, but it's okay. He has found 46.000. That is amazing. 46 dead. So Kim Min-jun, what can he do as he comes through? 49.5, so he's still got some time to find. That'll do, says Zhang Maoxu. I found a time quick enough. My second one wasn't going to be quick enough anyway. Let's just have an early bath. So Zhang Maoxu's time is quick enough to go top. His second one, he doesn't finish. But Kim Min-jun is looking good to try and improve here. Still looking for a bit of pace. So Kim Min-jun looking for a little bit more. What can he do? Works his way through the slalom. Hoping for that little bit more from his board as he ventures out of the slalom to try and get the finish of this run. 49.5 to beat. Checkered flag. What will he do this time? He's got to find a 49.5 or better. 49.7, unfortunately. No improvement. So now the time to beat is Zhang Maoxu, 24 years of age from China. He goes top spot now with a 46.000. That is just, you would never think you could find that time flat. That's just amazing. So now time for the Korean rider, Han Tae-hee, and the Czech rider, Vladimir Andel. So an opportunity for these two to set their paces. 38 years of age, Han Tae-hee, also of Korea, also of the N Racing team. And he ventures out onto the course along with Vladimir Andel, who is part of the satellite Jet Surf HK race team, which I will not repeat on the broadcast because it's going to get me into hot water if I do. So I'm not going to repeat the name of the team. You can find that out for yourself if you really want to be nerdy enough. But as it's slightly over the limit of acceptable broadcasting for a team name, I'm going to skirt around it. But certainly for the Jet Surf HK satellite team, the 39-year-old from Karlovy Vary, Vladimir Andel, looking very competitive on the water here. So big waves need to be conquered. And as you can see, it's all about confidence. You've got to attack every single buoy, knowing that you've got the rhythm and you've got the flow to make it work in your favor. Han Tae-hee and Vladimir Andel, the two latest talents to hit the waves. Good poise at the moment from Han Tae-hee. Good elan through the turns as well. Really starting to coax the board through. Doesn't want to be too aggressive too early here. Just wants to find himself a nice rhythm. A nice flow will do. As the riders continue to make themselves good progress out of the final turn to cross the line for Han Tae-hee. Let's see what he's able to do with this first time run. 46.0 to beat. He comes through on a 50.78, so there's definitely time to find on the course for Han Tae-hee. But he's doing it his way, certainly setting off into a good procedure nice and early to try and find the pace. Meanwhile, what about Vladimir Andel? What can he do? Here he is out of the boys of the slalom. Oh! Vladimir Andel just a little bit too eager in the slalom. And there goes the first time run. So that's unfortunate for the Jet Surf HK rider, who gets back on the board, but he's in danger of causing an issue for Han Tae-hee here. Needs to finish the course nicely. So that first time run won't count, I'm afraid, for Vladimir Andel. It's the second one that's going to count. Here comes the checkered. Oh, big mistake for Han Tae-hee at the end of the course there. Not what he needed at all. He got held up by the fall of Vladimir Andel. So 50.78 is what Han Tae-hee ends his course with. But Vladimir Andel, well, he needs anything better than a fall. So let's see what he gets out of the slalom. So far, so good. But this is where he lost it last time. Into the slalom out of 10. Goes right. 11, 12, 13. Comfortable, but trying to find a little bit more pace through 14. Then up through 15. This is where he dropped it last time. Safer exit now. Finishing it nicely. And up to 17. Out of the final buoy to cross the line. What can he do on this occasion? Surely it's going to be quicker than a 1:07.1. It is. It's a 54.6. So that puts him currently into 11th place. So Vladimir Andel finishing off with as good a ride as he can deliver at the moment. So we're about the halfway point now in the qualifying runs. We're going into the 9th rotation. And that's going to see two very talented competitors hit the water for the first time in competition. The first of which is the Turkish rider İsmail Kaptanoglu, 38 years of age. And he will be taking on the course along with the Macanese rider Mai Xiaolam, 17 years of age. So Mai Xiaolam is going to be trying to find the pace nice and early, racing on home water, of course. There's something about riding in a competitive World Championship event as a home rider. That must be such a big moment for young Xiao Liam. Doing a good job as he tries to maximize his pace on the wave. But here comes İsmail Kaptanoglu. So he goes into the run. The Turkish rider, 38 years of age, looking for a little bit of composure to start things off. Going well out of the blocks. So the 5:30, just taking it nicely in his stride for the moment. Doesn't need to rush things yet. Just build up to that competitive run. There's still plenty of time on the second run if it doesn't go well on the first. But you've got to be confident enough to finish that first run to then start attacking. Into the run then comes Mai Xiaolam, 17 years of age from Macau. And he wants a really good run on his home race event. Number 114, competing in the Rookie Merlin stock category. Still, they have a good effort here. Here comes Kaptanoglu out of the final turn, and he's completed a perfectly clean run. But what's his time? That's going to be crucial. He gets a 53.43. That's a good start. There's more time to find for sure. But getting that first lap completed is such a big point in qualifying. You've got to try and find that little bit of pace. So Kaptanoglu so nearly going in there. Mai Xiaolam, 17 years of age. Working his way through the slalom to complete the run. He'll want a decent time to finish off here out of the final buoy. Greets the yellow flag to start the final lap of his qualifying run. 53.439 to beat if he wants to get ahead of İsmail Kaptanoglu, and he does a 53.7. So it's going to be tight between those two riders. At the end of their turn run, oh, and into the drink goes Mai Xiaolam. Well, the 17-year-old was pushing hard on the second run, and as early as buoy 3, he finds the water. Such a disappointment. Meanwhile, across the line comes İsmail Kaptanoglu, 53.165. That's an improvement. So both men decide to call it quits. İsmail Kaptanoglu good enough for P9. Mai Xiaolam good enough for P10. So now we've got just 6 qualifying groups remaining then of the stock and stock rookies, and now we're going to get the big guns. This is where we're going to get the powerhouses coming out onto the water to try and grab the pole position. And the next pair out on the course definitely could trifle with the top spot. We've got the Turkish rider Behic Yogachila, 16 years of age for Rocket Racing. Definitely making some big movements out there. And we've got title contender in the stock category. Jan Travnicek, ready to go out there on the waves. 38 years of age from Speshov. This is where he can really start to find his feet. And it will tell us a lot about his weight to be thrown around in the championship fight as to what he can do in this particular qualifying run. So Jan Travnicek is not quite in the championship hunt, but certainly he is a force to be reckoned with at the top end of this competition. We all know how fast he can go. So this is definitely going to be hard charge city for our riders here. They'll want to get the most of it. So we'll get to see how they all start to perform. Out onto the waves then goes the rocket racing superstar in the stock category. Right up to pace. Behic Yogachila, 16 years of age from Turkey. And there is his opponent in this particular qualifying run. Coming across the line now. So there he goes to start his run. That is Jan Travnicek. So through the slalom comes the 17. We need to keep an eye on Yogachila. Yogachila's with a good chance here. And unfortunately, it ends in the water. What a shame. Was looking very good there on the slalom run. Just as I said, he had a good chance. He made me look a fool. So Yogachila recovers, mounts the board again. But he's got to find the confidence as well as the speed to get it back up together again. This is where it's going to be tricky for Behic Yogachila. Also a very tricky run to straighten out for Jan Travnicek across the line to start the second qualifying run then for Yogachila, but he's got to get the pace up because now we're going to hamper the qualifying run of Jan Travnicek, who seems to have bailed off pace. Jan Travnicek has given up. Well, he knows he's not going to get a fast run stuck behind Yogachila. 47.899 for Jan Travnicek. That is not what he needed at all. And he knows that stuck in the white water of Behic Yogachila, he's not going to improve. Well, that really has thrown a real hammer blow to Jan Travnicek's hopes there. It was a 47.8. He could have gone quicker on the second run, but we'll never know. It's only good enough for 5th place. Oh, and again, Behic Yogachila for the second lap in a row at exactly the same place. Oh. Well, that means essentially that this qualification was a complete waste of time for Behic Yogachila. What a shame for the 16-year-old from Turkey. Devastating. He will now go off the back of the run for each of his heats. And Jan Travnicek's not going to be happy either because his final run is not going to have a fast lap in it, although it looks as though he's been given another go of it. Yes, he has, so he can attack a second time. But he's got to stay upright. Oh, that's how Yogachila went down. And now Travnicek is flirting with it. Look at him. Absolutely dancing the death. He's like he's on a 40 kilometers an hour tightrope. Switching his way through these boys. Got to stay upright here, Jan. There's only one way to get to the top spot. That's to keep it planted. Oh, my word. What a catch. So nearly losing it all there in the first part of the slalom, but he somehow finds the poise to gather it up. Final turn, over the line. Is that going to go better than a 46 flat? We'll find out. 45.72. That's the top spot from Jan Travnicek. Excellent lap, very good work. And that puts Jan Travnicek into first position for the time being. We are in the eye line of Macau International Airport's main runway here, as you can see in the background, just disappearing behind Koloan Bay. But we have a new leader in the stock category, Jan Travnicek. So time for two more big players in the stock category to come out onto the course. The Monza stallion, Lorenzo Tanda. He will head out onto the course, as will another of our very popular riders from the Czech Republic, from Tanvald, the 20-year-old Damian Kadlic. And there he is, Damian Kadlic, getting himself up to speed nice and early. not wanting to mess around here, wanting to get straight on with the fast times. 45.72 to beat. And both of these men fancy their chances of doing so. There is Lorenzo Tanda. He's going for the title, don't forget, in the Rookie Merlin Plus category. But in reality, he's a long way back from the top spot. And even with 72 points available, it's going to be a miracle to see him in the top 3 of the championship. Never mind the leading point of it, but he's still here with high hopes. Here comes Damian Kadlec through. Can he go quicker than a 45.725? Yes, 45.34 for Damian Kadlec. No worries at all on his first qualifying run as he goes to the top spot. So Damian Kadlec leads the way now in the stock qualification. But what about Lorenzo Tanda? What can he do? 45.3 to beat. But the Italian going very strong indeed. What kind of a lap has he been able to produce? 48.6. He needs to find a little more from his board. But Damian Kadlec is already in the slaloms. Look at him. He's eating up these boys like they're kids. Oh! Just messing it wrong in the final stage of the slalom as the nose of the board tucks in. And that's it. He's chucked forward. And so there isn't going to be a second run. Look at it. Straight in. The nose catches the water first and throws him in. The nose of the board just stuffs into the wave. And Damian Kadlec cannot find a second run. But a 45.347, that puts the man from Torvald into the lead of the rankings. Second run from Lorenzo Tanda. What can he do? 48.64 to beat. 48.8. It's not an improvement. So Lorenzo Tanda is 7th, but Damian Kadlec, despite the fall, is top spot. So, of course, they get 2 qualification laps, and it's the best lap that is the one that counts. If you only do 1, then that's the one you're stuck with. So for Damian Kadlec, it's not as bad as it could have been. Time for 2 more big guns blazing. We heard from him earlier. Hassan Bouabas is going out on the course. And so too is the 21-year-old for the Apex pilots. From Brno Jindrov, it's Adam Janasek. Now, let's not forget that in this 2025 campaign, Adam Janasek is in with mathematical chance of becoming champion. Although in reality, he's got a lot of work to do. Just getting into 3rd place in the championship would be a big achievement for Adam Janasek. And the man he's got to beat is the man who's out in qualification with him, Hassan Bouabas. A talented Kuwaiti, 28 years of age, trying to put himself up to the top spot. He doesn't care about the championship, he wants to win. So here goes Hassan Bouabas. Pushing hard here for the Kuwait Sea Sport Club, 28 years of age. And the Kuwaiti really wanting to showcase that he's got the pace everywhere in this championship campaign. He's been strong all the way through the World Championship. Tucks out through boy 6, up towards 7. Nicely planted. Here comes Adam Janasek. He starts his run through boy 1, looks confident. Adam Janasek, of course, rides with the number 74 on his jersey. Although it looks as though he's got the number 42 on this occasion. Oh no, that is Hassan Bouabas, my apologies. Bouabas going through after Janasek. So Janasek is through the slalom. Here is Adam Janasek. Very nearly drops it, manages to catch it though. Attacks the boy, comes through, and Janasek's first time. Is it good enough to go top spot? We're about to find out. Tricky to see when the time updates. 48.4. So not a great start from Adam Janasek. Oh, sorry, 46.4. So he's there or thereabouts, but he needs to find a little bit more pace. Hassan Bouabas could do with finding a bit more pace as well as he comes through. Let's see what his time is good enough for. 46.46 for Adam Janasek. 46.9 for Hassan Bouabas. So Janasek only P6, Hassan Bouabas only P7. That's not going to do their title aspirations any good at all if they stay there. This needs to be a stronger second run. Here comes Adam Janasek. Final boy attacks it with poise. Is there going to be a fast run to the line? Let's see. Can he go quicker than a 46.46? Yes, 45.9, but it's not the top spot. It's only good enough for 3rd. So Adam Janasek behind Damian Kadlec and Jan Travnicek at the moment. Here comes the Kuwaiti though, Hassan Bouabas. We know how fearless he can be. Final boy carries the pace. What kind of a pace is that good enough for? It's going to be A 47.8 in the end. It's not an improvement. So that's going to be a very long day at the office tomorrow then for Hassan Bouabas. He's only P7 compared to Adam Janasek in P3. So it's still Damian Kadlic at the top of the times sheets then as we come to the big six. The top 4 riders in the rookie Merlin category, and then the big 2 in the stock category itself. First up then, it's Adam Kolar and David Kuchka. So 2 men we definitely need to keep an eye on here. The 15-year-old from Brno, also racing in the elite category, Adam Kolar. So he's got a very busy event ahead of him. He's going to be so tired by Sunday night. But Adam Kolar, fearless and determined. And the 17-year-old from Balticia, David Kuchka, looking for a chance to move forward as well. So both riders dialing in and ready to push. Adam Kolar, number 15. David Kuchka, 2-3-5. So here is the 15. Adam Kolar sets off in pursuit of pole position. Boy 2, comfortable. Boy 3, attacks. Looks good. Out through 4, up towards 5. Adam Kolar really starting to surge forward. Oh, what a save from Adam Kolar. The back end of the board almost chewed him up and spat him out through turn 5, but he somehow managed to keep it afloat. Now he works his way back up towards the slalom as into the course goes David Kuchka. Kuchka trying to find his own pace as he goes through point 1 and 2. Very easy to lose it, very easy to drop the board. Out through the slalom though comes Adam Kolar, and this is quick from the La Cuccinina rider. Let's see what he comes up with. Up over the line, is it good enough to go top spot? 45.3 to beat. 45.4, he's attacking it. Adam Kolar so nearly on the top spot. If he can find 0.139 of a second on the second run, he goes to the top spot. But what about David Kuchka? He's had a very imbalanced middle part of the lap by the look of it. He's had to try and fight his way back into control. So it's going to be a tricky end to the lap for David Kuchka. Let's see what he's good enough for. 47.5. I thought there was a little bit of a twitch mid-course. And into the drink goes Adam Kolar. Adam Kolar's not going to improve. He misses out by 0.138. So Adam Kolar will have to settle for second place. What a shame. Because there is no improvement on the run as he drops it. There is David Kuchka trying to find a faster time. He certainly looks more confident on this one. He seems to have found a little bit more faith in his opinion, but Adam Kolar comes through to finish the course. Not the time he wanted at all, a 1:02 because of the fall. But what about David Kuchka? If he can improve on a 47.5, he'll work his way further up the top 10, over the line. What can he do? Is it a 47.1? It is 47.15 from David Kuchka. He remains P9, but he improves his time. But Adam Kolar so nearly bags the top spot, but he's going to miss it by 0.138 of a second. And so, the handshake for these two, Adam Kolar and David Kuchka, two very competitive racers. But for Adam Kolar, he misses out on the pole position by just 0.138 of a second there. What a shame. Next up, Mike Michailidis, the Cypriot, and the Korean superstar, already a champion in 2025, Kim Down. So Kim Down is already the Masters champion of 2025 because nobody can catch him in the points rankings. And he represented his country in fantastic fashion at the World Games earlier this year. Did a fantastic job for South Korea. 41 years of age, Korean champion last year, Stock World champion of 2022, Masters World champion last year and this year. Just such an amazing athlete for 41 years of age. If I'm this athletic at 41, I'll eat 70 hats. Absolutely amazing from Kim Down. The amount of endurance he has on the board is just fabulous to watch. Through the left, through the right, savagery on these boys. Full commitment, full discipline. And through comes the man in yellow, Mike Michailidis. Very talented young man, going for broke in the championship fight in the stock category. He knows he's got a deficit, but he still wants to quest for it. You never know in this sport. And what has been certainly his most competitive campaign thus far in his career as an athlete. Mike Michailidis, the 18-year-old from Limassol, wants the top spot. What about Kim Down? He's done a 45.8 fresh out of the blocks. So he's already half a second off the pole with his first run. 4th position so far. Can he find half a second? Meanwhile, Mike Michailidis wants to put it right at the sharp end of the Rookie Merlin Plus category. Here he comes, over the line. What can he do? It's going to be a quick time here, I think, for Mike Michailidis. 46.3, that's not bad. It's 8th position. It's a second away from the top spot. But look at the aggression of Kim Down in the slalom. Yet again, he pulls something out of the bag. Every single time he comes to deliver. And Kim Down, the 41-year-old from Seoul, crosses the line. What's his time good enough for? 47.0, not the pole on this occasion. Well, Kim Down is going to have to fight tomorrow. That's exciting for us. Normally, he is the dominant force. 4th at the moment. Well, that definitely gives us something to talk about tomorrow. Here comes Mike Michailidis, the Cypriot, needing to find some time. What can he do as he comes across the line? 46.3 is his best time to beat. 45 flat. He's done it. Mike Michailidis, pole position with his second run. So Mike Michailidis, a 45.054. Excellent work from the Cypriot. He is on the top spot. And that is a big moment for the 18-year-old from Limassol. Excellent performance from the Cypriot. Excellently done. The timing was spot on. He needed to make it count. And now there are just 2 men to try and wrestle pole position away. And they are the kings of the standings in each category. In the Merlin Stock Plus category, from Al Zraa in Kuwait, the 18-year-old Fares Ramadan. And in the stock category, the championship leader from Charlotte in North Carolina, from the United States, the 29-year-old Anthony Squire. Championship leader, and he knows he's got a decent advantage coming into this one. His dominant performance at Zadar in Croatia certainly gave him a little bit of a leg up. But there's more to do. There's more time to be found. Can anybody of these two eclipse a 45.05? We are about to find out if pole position can still be found. Anthony Squire goes to battle for the United States. So there is a pole position to be had here, but will it go the way of Fares Ramadan, Anthony Squire, or Mike Michailidis? It's going to be one of the 3 now. These are the last 2 contenders, and Michailidis' time is going to be very difficult to beat. 45.054, 2/10 quicker than Kadlic, 4/10 quicker than Kolar, 6/10 quicker than Travnicek, and 8/10 quicker than Kim Down and Adam Janasek. Good work from Michailidis, but these are the last 2, and they will leave nothing to chance. 18-year-old Fares Ramadan and the 29-year-old from Charlotte, North Carolina, Anthony Squire. Here we go. So the Q80 goes first. Gives himself plenty of time to charge forward. Anthony Squire's going to go for the line. He's going to give himself a little bit more time before he goes for it by the look of it. But there is Fares Ramadan. Perfect lean angle through 5, 6, 7. Good aggression. As Anthony Squire is now setting off on his time lap. And don't forget, he is the champion elect. If he can stay in front in the point standings, he has a lead of 32 points, 72 available this weekend. It looks good for the American to become the new stock champion. But he won't leave anything to chance as Fares Ramadan's gone down. Fares Ramadan in the slalom. So his first lap already gone. That puts pressure on the Q80. And he's the championship leader in the stock Rookie Merlin Plus, don't forget. So that's a big error from Fares Ramadan. His first lap's gone. He comes through, and it's a 55.78, but he fell. So now he's got to be perfect on this run. Meanwhile, Anthony Squire is just chopping away at these slalom boys. Now he comes out of the final right-hander across the timing line. Is it quicker than a 45.0? Not yet. 45.28. He's second quickest so far. So can Anthony Squire find pole position? Away from the 18-year-old from Cyprus. He is digging deep to try and find the pace. Faraz Ramadan in the slalom for what has to be his final lap. Let's see if he can find it. It's going to be tight for Faraz Ramadan. He's got to find a 45.053 to get pole position. Checkered flag. What can he do? Is Faraz Ramadan going to be pole? No, 48.6 for Faraz Ramadan. It's nowhere near what he wanted at all. 15th is all he's good enough for. But what can Anthony Squire do? Final boy, currently second. Can he go pole? We wait for the time. Oh, so close. 45.192. It's second place for Anthony Squire. Mike Michailidis will be pole position for Cyprus. Well, that's a good start for Squire. He'll be pole position of his group. That's for sure. And that puts him right where he needs to be. So for Anthony Squire, it's game on for tomorrow. Second overall. Fastest of the group. So for the American, he doesn't get the ultimate pole position, but he will be the lead rider in Group 2. And that puts him into championship winning position. So there is the full qualification provisional results. What a battle it's been. But 45.054 is the pole position time provisionally for Mike Michailidis of Cyprus. A second covering the top 10 riders in the stock competition. Amazing stuff. And it looks as though Mike Michailidis versus Anthony Squire is going to be fought away from each other for the heats, and then they'll rejoin themselves in the final. But it will be about consistency. It'll be about measured pace all the way through. A very good start to the competition. Well, the women's category's been exciting. So has the stock category. Next up, it's going to be the juniors, and they will be taking place in about 20 minutes' time, roughly. Timetable tells us that the juniors will get underway at 2:53 local time. And the stock and stock rookie categories have been at this for about an hour now. So we give them an hour and 20 for it. So fascinating stuff for all of the contenders as the riders continue on their way. But an absolutely sensational battle still going strong for our competitors out on the course. Two classes are done with their qualifying. A third one will be next, and that will be the juniors for both the boy and girl category. Then we'll have the masters, and then we'll have the 7 superstars, the magnificent 7. The elite riders will come out onto the course for their qualifying bout. Welcome back to the Melco Style Grand Prix of Macau, the 2025 UIM MotoSurf World Championship finale. We are back into qualifying and we are into the drink for Him Tang, unfortunately, in his first qualifying run. As we now go into the juniors category, so the youngsters who are making their first trips through the waves in this sport are getting to know the course in the toughest way possible. And this is Him Tang Chi, the 14-year-old from Macau, who is the first of our riders to take on this very tough and brutal course indeed. All of the riders under the age of 15 who compete in the junior category. We've got the junior boys and the junior girls. They race together until the finals, at which point the junior girls will get their own final and the junior boys will get their own final, but they will race together in the qualifying heats to score points. So it certainly gives us plenty of entertainment and drama while the competitors are out there on the course. And the first of our qualifying riders is Him Tang Chi, the Macanese racer for the iRacing team, 14 years of age. He has fallen on his first time run. Hopefully the second one is going to be a clean break of a lap. All he has to do is stay upright to get a decent time on the board. But that is easier said than done when you are just getting started in the world of MotoSurf. It is a rough ride for a teenager to try and take this on, and in the second lap, he has proven exactly that. Oh, what a shame for Him Tang Chi. A fall on the first run and a fall on the second means there will be no timed run for Him Tang Chi. Very unfortunate indeed for the young rider from Macau, who DNFs in his junior qualification. Easily done, unfortunately. And the riders were telling me earlier, I was having a conversation with Stanislav Kahut a little while ago, the 13-year-old from Praha, who basically told me whoever gets pole position is whoever stays on the board in the junior category, because he told me there's going to be so many falls across the classes that if anyone completes a timed run in junior qualification, they will most likely get pole position. And there is a bit of a hint of that proof, isn't there? With the poor Him Tang Chi not managing to stay upright for either of his qualifying laps. The juniors could be a bit of a qualifying session of attrition here to try and move their way further forward. So it's going to be very difficult indeed to see how this is going to play out. We're going to see some very tough battles in the junior category. And so, having seen Him Tang try to put the times down in qualifying, we're now going to see two more riders have a go at it. The first of which is going to be San Hui Lok, the 14-year-old also from Macau. And then also out on the course is going to be the 15-year-old from Sweden, Ringo Rimér. So Ringo Rimér, 15 years of age, from the capital city of Sweden in Stockholm. Going to try and work his way around the course. Here comes the Macanese rider, San Hui Lok. To get pole position provisionally, all you've got to do is complete the course in one piece at the moment, because of course poor Him Tang was not able to in his qualification run. So now it's time to see if either of the boys in this particular junior qualification run can do so. Certainly for the moment it is San Hui Lok who is going to be the first one to attempt it of the second run. And we're going to see also how the 15-year-old from Stockholm, Ringo Rimér, is going to get on as he puts himself into a flying run as well. So here comes Ringo Rimér. He goes to battle in qualifying in the junior boys category. The oldest rider in the field. And certainly putting on his paces to try and move his way further forward. Remember, all you've got to do to get in the top two positions is stay upright at the moment. But that is proving to be a challenge. Ringo Rimér has managed to. San Hui Lok has not. San Hui Lok has gone down in the slalom. So that is the second of the Macanese riders in the junior boy category falling on the first run. So all Ringo Rimér has got to do is complete the course in a reasonable time, and he's going to get himself a decent qualification lap here, because as Stanislav Kahut rightfully predicted, oh, and he's gone! Ringo Rimér has gone as well. Well, this is exactly what we were saying. The juniors are struggling, just staying upright. And now San Hui Lok has done it on the second lap as well. So there is now going to be no qualification time for either of the Macanese riders in this category. What a shame. So now both men from Macau are not going to get a time run in. But of course, Ringo Romer can still do so. He may have missed the first run, but he can go for the second one. So Ringo Romer is going to try and dial himself in as, well, another attempt at the lap then from San Hoi Lok has come to nothing. So it really is a miserable qualification run from San Hoi Lok. Meanwhile, here comes the Swede. For Stockholm, the 15-year-old San Hoi Lok is done, but Ringo Romer is just getting started. Having missed the run on his first time run with a fall, he's now going to try and keep it together with a second. Come on, Ringo, keep it together. Finds a little bit of airtime through 4, but that's okay. Tidies it up. Big dip in 5, that's all right though. Keeps it planted. Just balance the board, just stay upright. Don't have to be too aggressive, just be smooth now. 2 riders have already fallen twice. It's now about just trying to finish off the course. If I were you, I'd go right, because San Hoi Lok is to the left. Well, he has gone left as well. But Ringo Romer just wanting to complete the course. That's it, just keep it together, just keep it tidy. It's not the easiest run through the slalom. He's got to try and keep it together. It's a long run through the slalom as San Hoi Lok comes through, having not completed a timed run here. But now Ringo Romer just needs to finish it off. It's nice and neat, and he is going to get it done. Excellent start then from Ringo Romer, who goes to the top spot. So Ringo Romer's time is a 1 minute 8.138. And that will do nicely. Stockholm will be happy with that one, as the 15-year-old has gone to the top spot for the time being, in a session where pretty much everybody in the junior category is at risk of falling. Completing the course is the first big mission there for Ringo Romer, and that will do. So it's a great start for the Swede, as now we get 2 more riders to face the waves here on the South China Sea. And it's time for 2 of the lady competitors to come out onto the course. Melanie Janhubova and Adela Pokorova. So for Melanie Janhubova, the 14-year-old from Pohorelice, it's not a bad start to her campaign as she heads out onto the water. And for the Apex Pilots, 14-year-old from Stalavi, Adela Pokorova, with a good opportunity to make good progress. So what will the 2 ladies do out on the course to try and get a clean, tidy run? Well, no waiting around, it seems, to start the qualifying run then for Melanie Janhubova. Not waiting around, getting straight on with it. Very twitchy, though, on this course. Expect a few more falls from the junior category because the waves are very choppy indeed here. And look, they can't be too aggressive on these boys. They're having to wait for the wave to fall in, and oh dear. Another big fall to start the junior qualification run then. That's so easily done at junior level. And it's so frustrating under the circumstances, as into the water has gone Melanie Janhubova, I do believe. Well, there is the 78 getting started. That is Adela Pokorova, the only rider in the junior girl category who actually races with her own number, I should point out. As Melanie Janhubova's first time run comes to nothing. So now she's got to try and dig deep and find some more. And it looks to me there actually that Melanie Janhubova is actually running with the number 13. That wasn't included in the original entry, so I'll update that. But now it's time to see what Adela Pokorova can do. The first lap goes to nothing for Melanie Janhubova, but what about Pokorova? We'll see what she can do. So Adela Pokorova, the 14-year-old, tight in at buoy 2. Wants to be quick, but also smooth. It's so difficult on that third buoy. Takes her time to get through it. That's okay, though. Stay upright, Adela. It's good so far. The juniors will never be as aggressive as their elite or stock counterparts. They just don't have the experience to make that work. Oh, and it's another big fall for Melanie Janhubova. We're watching it on the replay. So Melanie Janhubova has gone in again. But this is all about Adela Pokorova finishing off smart here. So Melanie Yanubova's got another lap, but her first one is not a complete one, I'm afraid. So she's got to try again on the second. Meanwhile, Adela Pokorova's doing a great job here through the slalom. The 14-year-old keeping it nice and tidy. Keep it together, Adela. Don't rush this. You've got one more boy, and then you've got a time on the board. Excellent from Adela Pokorova. So the time to beat is a 1 minute 8.138. She does a 1 minute 3.4. Adela Pokorova already faster than the Super Swede Ringo de Meyer. And she can keep this going and find another time. She can find 3 more seconds, then she'll go sub 60. But it's so much tougher in the junior category than it is in the adult classes. Your body muscles are not really up to full strength yet. You're still learning what your body can do, and you're still trying to find the confidence. And Melanie Yanubova's gone in again. Bitter disappointment for Melanie Yanubova. No time on the board then, as she becomes the 3rd rider in this competition to find no lap time. Adela Pokorova, though, is going to find another one out of the slalom. And what a confident ride from Adela Pokorova. She finds the checkered flag. And this is going to be quicker than a 103, I think. She'll come through a 56.1. Talk about laying down the gauntlet. Absolutely awesome from Adela Pokorova. That will do nicely. Her time will update on the screen very shortly, but it is a 56.182, the second run. So much quicker that time. And so she goes top spot without any doubt at all. Melanie Yanubova crosses the line, but it's no longer counting as a competitive time. So now we send 2 more riders out onto the waves, Maja Żuławska and Maximilian Hruška. So they'll venture out onto the course hoping for a decent time run. Maja Żuławska, a very talented young Pole, 14 years of age, from the Green Peak MotoSurf Poland team, formerly of Tenzi MotoSurf, of course. Switched teams mid-year. And the junior girl from Wadowice in Poland, looking for a very solid effort from her qualifying lap. But then so too is Maximilian Hruška, the very talented 12-year-old from the MS Czech Talent Squad from Brno, the youngest competitor in the paddock. So into the lap goes Maja Żuławska. So Żuławska, the Polish rider, trying to find as much pace as she can find. The 14-year-old looking for a little bit of speed early doors. Hoping to stay upright, of course. That's the first big challenge. But we've seen it can be done with a sub-60 time. Great effort from the last run from Adela Pokorova to do a 56.1. That's very quick for a junior. And so now we'll see what kind of pace Maja Żuławska can unlock. And here comes the youngest rider in the paddock. 12 years of age, Maximilian Hruška from Brno in the Czech Republic. Excellent opportunity for him to showcase just what he's learned over this 2025 season. The youngest man in the competition will certainly want to come away with an excellent performance. In fact, I was actually going to say he's the youngest man in the competition. He is, but there is one of the ladies who is even younger, Ellen Berdova. We'll see her very shortly. So here is Maja Żuławska, 14 from Wadowice. Going very well until suddenly the displacement and the balance comes away. After a 1 minute 1.0 on the first run, the second run comes awry at buoy 6. So that's all that we're going to see from Maja Żuławska, but she's only 4.8 away from the pole. As here comes Max Hruška, 55.889 from the 12-year-old. What a talent Max Hruška is turning out to be. 12 years of age, and look what he can do. Running rings around riders 2 years to 3 years older. Absolutely incredible talent, Max Hruška. He has got world champion of the future written all over him. And this man is just waiting for his time, essentially, now. But Max Hruška, what a performance from the 12-year-old. If he can lap like this in these conditions this early on in his career, well, the sky's the limit. So Julevinska comes through to take the checkered flag. The second run will not count. But what about Hruska's second run? It was a 55.889. What is it for the second run? Across the line, 53.3. Wow, Max Hruska. What pace from the 12-year-old. That's amazing. He's only 8 seconds slower than the leading stock rider. That is astonishing. Max Hruska with scintillating, sizzling pace here in Macau. And considering how bad the water is, considering how tricky the conditions are, that just shows you the talent of Max Hruska, the 12-year-old from Brno, the youngest man in the competition. And yet, he's gone 2.8 seconds quicker than everybody else. What a performer. I mean, give him 3 years and he's going to be in the elite straight away. Immense talent. So now we move forward to the 5th and penultimate of the qualifying runs. This is going to be Oliver Wolf and Stanislav Kohut. So 2 of the seriously top talents in the junior category. Oliver Wolf, 14 years of age from Brno, and Stanislav Kohut, 13 years of age from Praha. And both serious title contenders in the junior boy category. Very tough competition, that. Kohut has 195 points, Wolf has 187 points. But they both got a lot of work to catch up to Matthias Barvik, who will come out in the final run along with Ellen Bardova. So at 12 years of age, Max Hruska can do that. What can these 2 very impressive 14-year-olds do, considering that they're not too far away from their step up into the world of stock and elite competition? Across the line to start another flying lap. So a very big performance coming through from the 2.32. As a 2.52, sorry, that's Stanislav Kohut. And there is Oliver Wolf, the Autozentrum Vyskov Czech talent rider. Out of the turn to complete his lap. What kind of a time is he able to give us? We'll look at the times on the monitor. 53.387, 43 thousandths of a second slower than Hruska already. So a very solid effort from Oliver Wolf, but don't forget he's got the experience that Hruska doesn't yet. But still, Max Hruska able to, oh, he's done! Oliver Wolf into the drink. No chance of an improvement then. 43 thousandths of a second slower than Hruska, but it doesn't look like he can improve. He won't improve, but Stanislav Kohut, 51.87, smashes them both. Brilliant lap time from Stanislav Kohut, and there's more to come, I'm sure. Disappointment for Oliver Wolf. Let's have another look at it. Comes through, attacks the boy, but he just catches the wrong part of the board as he comes through. And that's very unfortunate indeed for Oliver Wolf. What was looking like it could have been a pole position there for Oliver Wolf, but what will happen from the other man in the equation? Stanislav Kohut now coming through the slalom. Having done a 51.875, he looks like he's going to be on the top spot. Certainly for the time being, but will he be permanent? He can go even quicker to find even more. 51.875 to beat, and it looks pretty competitive. What did he do? A 51.2. Wow. Stanislav Kohut, 2 seconds quicker than Hruska and Wolf. He's got the confidence and the assurance in his own ability to storm it to the top spot. Stanislav Kohut, valiant. But now the 2 championship leaders in the junior categories. The junior boy leader, Matthias Barvik, and the junior girl leader, Ellen Bardova. Serious talent from these 2. Matthias Barvik destined to step up into the peak of the competitions next year from Sravatica. Matthias Barvik for the Penta racing team, formerly of MS Czech Talent, but moved on to Penta and has never looked back since. He goes into his qualifying lap. Matthias Barvik, the junior boy championship leader. He has a big advantage. He has no pressure in this championship fight in Macau. So he wants to showcase that he can get the job done. through the early stages of the boys here. Through 5, through 6 to the left, and through 7 to the right. This is going very well for Mateusz Barwik. Just keep it together. Taking it tidily on the way to the slalom. Through 10, goes right to 11, and 12, 13. It's so much balanced. As meanwhile, Ellen Bardova begins her charge forward. Incredible. She is leading the championship. The 12-year-old from Pardubice in the Czech Republic. And despite being younger than all 3 of her opponents this weekend, and in fact, all 6 of her opponents all season long, she's the youngest in the field, but she is the one with the most skill under her feet. So what does Mateusz Barwik do for his first time lap? 50.299. Fastest time in the junior category. Oh, and Ellen Bardova's gone in. Well, that's her first time lap gone then. So Ellen Bardova's gone, and Mateusz Barwik is guaranteed to be the leading boy on a 50.299. He'll finish off his lap. Can Ellen Bardova get back on? Oh, and Mateusz Barwik's gone. Mateusz Barwik has gone as well. That just shows you nobody is immune to mistakes. Even the 2 championship leaders in the junior categories, in junior girl and junior boy, Ellen Bardova and Mateusz Barwik have both made a mistake on their time lap. Now, Mateusz Barwik had already set 1 lap, so he won't get to finish his second one with a legal time. But Ellen Bardova can still do another fast time lap here, because she went down on her first lap, so she can do another one. So here comes Ellen Bardova. She can have another crack at this, but she's a little too close in the white water of Mateusz Barwik, as Barwik goes down again. So Bardova is able to pass the scene, has not lost a lot of time, but Barwik has gone down again, and to be honest, that's going to be his lap time confirmed at 50.299. It's still going to be good enough for the pole position for Mateusz Barwik, but what can Ellen Bardova do? That's the crucial one. She wants to be the fastest of the female competitors. That's currently Adela Podkova even. So Adela Podkova is the leading lady at the moment on a 56-second lap. But Ellen Bardova wants to do better than that. Here she comes. Will she go better than a 56.0? Is it going to be pole in junior girl? It was nearly pole outright. Goodness me, Ellen Bardova's second lap is a 50.99. Terrific work from the 12-year-old. And that will do nicely for Ellen Bardova. And it looks like she's getting a chance to run a second time lap here. I think there's a little bit more leniency in the junior categories than there is in the elite and stock classes. So Ellen Bardova with a chance to complete what looks like it's another competitive time lap. So she will be the fastest of the junior girls by quite some margin. What an epic talent. The 12-year-old from Pardubice in Poland, Ellen Bardova. How can she be this quick at the age of just 12? Fantastic. She comes through on a 53.7. It's not quicker, but it didn't need to be. What a performance from Ellen Bardova. That is an athlete we need to keep an eye on in the future. She could break Eliska Matuskova's record as the youngest ever women's world champion one day. What a star effort from Ellen Bardova. And so the junior qualification comes to an end then. And it's Mateusz Barwik and Ellen Bardova who, despite falls on each of their runs, are the runaway victors in the juniors category. Fabulous stuff, and a really, really strong performance then from our contenders. Now we get to continue the progress as we move up now to our masters category, but there is the provisional results of the junior qualification. Only 8 of them managing to get full times on the board, because we didn't quite manage to see the full chat of the times from 3 of the riders, San Hoylok, Himtang Shi, and also I do believe Maja Żyliwinska, not able to get all of their times on the board in the end. So it wasn't quite the perfect session for everybody. My apologies. No, it wasn't. It wasn't Maja Żylewińska who failed to set a time there. My apologies. It was in fact Melanie Janhubova who didn't get a lap time in. So certainly a very impressive start to proceedings then in the junior category. We certainly got to have a lot of entertainment there and a lot of sparks of excitement from our riders. But now, of course, we get ourselves into the action in just a few minutes' time. Once again then for the Masters category, and there are 20 competitors in the ranking for this one. And the Masters category is the only class in the UIM MotoSurf World Championship paddock that has already been confirmed for the 2025 campaign as far as the champion is concerned. And that is Kim Down, who has already wrapped up the title before we even got to Macau. Because once it was confirmed that his two main championship contenders in the title fight were not going to be attending, David Poźnik and Petr Poźnik, both unable to attend. And the nearest competitor after them is Arkadia Janora, the Polish rider, 73 points behind Kim Down. And with 72 points, the maximum score, there's nothing he can do about it. So before he even arrived in Macau, Kim Down was confirmed as the Masters champion for the second year in a row. So the big question is, what happens now? We go out and have some fun, essentially, is the answer. Because the Masters riders don't really have anything else to concern themselves with in terms of the push for the victory. It's just for pride, essentially, this weekend that the riders get to have their little spats. But we do have some magnificent contenders in the Masters category. There'll be 10 pairs of riders going out on the course. Yun Chun and Paul Tori, the Korean and the Japanese. Then Park Jin-young and Lee Dyok-dong, the two Korean riders. Kim Yong-bum and Choi Hyun. Then Yun Jin and Chung Tse-va. And then we have Jaime Hincache, who is also competing, don't forget, in the stock category. And alongside him will be the Hungarian Abraham Timur. And then we'll have the riding talents of Andrei Atanasov and Michel Ular. And then we will continue with Pavel Motoska and Alan Nagy. And then Stanislav Ganishkin, Murat Jorgenschila. And then Yeri Blaha, Jano Vankersbilk, Arkadia Janora, and Kim Down. So the riders getting themselves really into the spirit of things here, as all of the contenders are loving being back in Macau once again. This fabulous location, the Las Vegas of the East. And I can tell you that so much energy and so much excitement has been put into this Melco-style Grand Prix of Macau for 2025. Last year, the event was a great success. This year, it's gone even bigger. And we've got some fantastic support from the likes of Melco-style, from Red Bull, from various people around the Asian sporting scene who all want to continue to see this fantastic sport grow. It's had its real shining time of the year, 2025, for UIM MotoSurf. The World Championships have been very hardly fought since the start of the year at Fujairah in the United Arab Emirates, when the competitors tried to qualify for a place at the World Games in Chengdu. Then a few weeks later, we had the first round of the World Championship. And then not too long after that, the field went to Çeşme in Turkey for the second round of the competition. Then quite a sizable gap for the competitors, some of which were able to get involved the next time out in Chengdu in China for the 2025 World Games, which is basically just one down from the Olympics. So definitely an exciting time for the sport to be showcased on the world stage amongst some of the greatest athletes currently on the planet. Then we had round 3 and 4 of the World Championship in the first 2 weekends of October, held at Manfredonia in Italy, and a quick ferry ride across the water to Zahar in Croatia. So a fabulously busy season, and there's been some great competition all the way through those events. We'll talk you through the details of how the story was won across the categories a little bit later on. But certainly very exciting battles between our riders thus far. So out onto the course we go then for the Masters. The championship is already won, but the pride is definitely still to be fought for. So the first two riders to venture out onto the course then will be Yun-Chun and Paul Tori, the Korean and the Japanese rider, as they venture out onto the course for their first bite of the cherry. Don't forget the fastest lap time so far this weekend is a 45.054 in time qualifying. That was set by the 18-year-old Cypriot Mike Michailidis, who has not been beaten in terms of one lap pace by anybody so far in this event. The Masters have a great chance to do that, of course. They've got more confidence with more experience, so you do tend to see some very competitive runs from the Masters category. Into the hunt we go then. That is Yun-Chun going into battle first and foremost. And also in the mix we have the Japanese rider Paul Tori for Jet Surf Japan. So as these two riders already try to find the early pace and to raise the tone of their practice session earlier on. Got to try and step up this early pace and get themselves into a good position. Through the start finishing buoy comes Paul Tori, the very colourful Japanese rider, trying to continue his MotoSurf journey. Very wide berth off the turn though there, and that's certainly going to cost him a little bit in terms of his current prowess and position. So still the riders come through, hoping for a decent and solid attack across the line at the end of the first run for Yun-Chun. 54.85 for Yun-Chun. Opens the ball rolling for the rest of the competitors. That's not going to be a time good enough for the top spot, but it certainly opens the floodgates for the Masters category. A lot of aggression. Oh, and an absolute pancake splat into the water for Paul Tori, the Japanese rider, coming a cropper there through the slalom. And that's a real headache for his aspirations of pole position. Also going to cause some headaches there for Yun-Chun, because he's going to find that the Japanese rider Paul Tori is still there in position, very close to him. But he's able to come through. So let's see what Yun-Chun can finish off with. He gets the checkered flag. It was a 54.85 for him, but he's done a 58.0 on the second run. Meanwhile, the Japanese rider Paul Tori still fancies the chance to get back into this. If he can come up with the goods on the second lap, then the fall will not be a big problem for him. But certainly for Yun-Chun, it was already done and dusted. The writing on the wall from the first run of 54.85. Right, time to go for a second run then for Paul Tori, the Japanese rider. Here he goes. He's only got one last chance to make this one. He's got to get a tidy lap. That's all you need, is a tidy lap time. Bit of a twitch again from Paul Tori as he tries to get himself back up to pace. Through the boys. 6, very wide line and trajectory. 7, trying now to catch up with the time lost by earlier on. Turn 9, cut around the long lap, up through 10, 11. So as everybody finds themselves a really good pose on the course, Paul Tori is hoping this will turn into a completely clear final run. That's where he messed up earlier on, so it looks to me as though he should be able to get away with this one without too much difficulty. But the checkered flag flies for Paul Tori. Will he go quicker than Yun-Chun? 54.850 to beat. He's done a 1 minute 5.545. So not on this occasion then for Tori, and he will have to settle for second position for the moment. So Paul Tori, the Japanese rider, having to settle for second position for the time being. And I use the term time being with a lot of emphasis because we are still just scratching at the surface of what these riders can do. So 2 more riders venture out onto the course to warm themselves up and dial themselves in, namely Park Jin-young and Lee Deok-dong. So the 2 riders now just getting themselves up to pace, and instantly we go into the lap then for the first of our Korean guests. Doing a great job here in the World Championship, he seems to have done. So through the S's of the first section of the course comes the very hard charging Park Jin-young, with Lee Deok-dong not far away. So out onto the start finishing post to begin the lap. I think that's got to be Lee Deok-dong, hasn't it? After what looked like a fairly easygoing natured moment for the man to come through and start another lap. Lee Deok-dong looks fairly calm, perched on the board on this particular moment. As meanwhile, out through the S's, we've still got the slalom, as Park Jin-young, I think it is, will now come through to finish off his time run in quick proximity. A very good effort so far. And into the drink on the second lap. Well, that's unfortunate because it was looking very good up to that point. And certainly for Park Jin-young, who looked like he had a bit more pace up his sleeve and was just setting out to try and unlock it. It sadly did not work out in his favour there. 1 minute 8.215 for the first run. He will not get a second. Oh, and at the same time, Lee Deok-dong has gone down on his first run as well. So again, the qualification becomes a bit of a lottery as to who stays in and who gets knocked out, based purely on the fact that at the moment it seems as though those elite clubs are not going to have their own. So with both riders in trouble at the end of the run there, it looks as though Lee Deok-dong is not actually going to get through to complete the race. So it's looking pretty much deserted at the scene of Lee Deok-dong's car, of his board, sorry. Having a bit of a moment there as he perches on the back of the jet ski that will take him home. And a rather unfortunate end to the qualifying run for Lee Deok-dong. Again, never really got to show his proper ability behind the bars of his machine. And so we see two more riders venture out into the ocean to try and find a little bit more pace from their boards. And those two are going to be Kim Yong-bum and Choi Hyun. So now they're going to get themselves dialed in after the difficult work from Park Jin-young and Lee Deok-dong. Those two riders unable to get the lap times they wanted from this session. And now straight in comes the next pair, Kim Yong-bum and Choi Hyun. So the time to beat of anybody here in this event is a 45.2 set by Mike Michaelidis right at the end of the last qualifying session in what is essentially the senior class of racing. So now the riders work their way back forward across the line to start another new flying lap. And this is going to be quite an important one, it has to be said, because with riders on the verge of dropping out, riders like Kim Yong-bum could be right there to take advantage. The 43-year-old from Busan in South Korea looking for another good run as he weaves his way through these boys like they were barely even moving. The precision through the slaloms is just so many hours of training and very, very calm and collected natured rides from the competitors out there on the course. Across the line then comes Kim Yong-bum. And then, of course, there's going to be Choi Hyun right in behind, trying to seek his own way around this very tricky course layout. Completely different layout, by the way, to last year. That's one of the other beauties of MotoSurf, is that you can set the course up however you like. You can come to the same scene a year later. And you can actually set the track itself, the course itself, up pretty much however you want. So Kim Yong-bung's first time is a 49.015. And Choi Hyun's first qualifying effort has been a 56.655. So now the last riders on the course trying to get something out of it, and I'm afraid it's all gone wrong for Kim Yong-bum. So Kim Yong-bum not able to find the pace that they were looking for there. And so it all comes to nothing then for Kim Yong-bum, the 43-year-old for Team Full-Cell, based out of Busan. But on this occasion, it's not gone well at all to try and tidy that up. Meanwhile, there is still a lot of good potential coming forward for here as well. Across the line, there could be an improvement to the positions. Well, keep an eye, but apparently Choi Hyun's pace is looking pretty comfortable as he brings it in to finish things off. A 1 minute 1.344. 48.0 from Kim Yong-bum is good, fastest so far, but I'm just not so sure that the kind of pace that's going to remain. So with two riders escorted back to the paddock, there's room for another two riders to take their place, Yeon Jin and Jung Se-wai. So the riders obviously trying to find their feet in a very tricky battle against the elements here, with the waves really starting to hammer home to the riders just how tough their task actually is around this course. It's not easy, even though it's a smaller course than last year. It's definitely more technically challenged. So we wait to see what these two riders will give us. This is Yeon Jin and Jung Se-wai. So Yeon Jin, the 49-year-old for the N Racing team from Korea in the Masters category. Oh, and down goes Alan Najur. So Alan Najur, oh sorry, no, it's not Alan Najur, my apologies, it's Jung Se-wai. So Jung Se-wai having a moment there, the 43-year-old also from Macau. We will get to see Najur Chia-hong a little later on, Alan Najur, but not just for the moment. So certainly Yeon Jin has pulled the banker out of the bag there, a 1 minute 9.965. That starts things off on a fairly competitive and fairly open keel. Waiting to see what Jung Se-wai is going to pop up with as they come through to finish their qualification run. But of course it's about patience as much as it is about speed. So now let's see what the pace is from Jung Se-wai, 1 minute 20.618, but don't forget that includes a fall, so that is not going to count. Now we wait to see what the other two riders are able to do. Yeon Jin wants to improve upon a 109.9. It certainly looks relatively smooth this first lap, a 107.5. So that puts Jung Se-wai onto the leaderboard. Sadly, it's not going to be particularly high up the leaderboard because it's not sub 60, but it's important to win your battle against your opponent. So the contenders now get themselves ready for the ultimate next challenge for each contender out of the slalom comes Chung Ziwei. Through the slalom and finishing off in a very calm and collected mood. Looks like a second lap. And so we wait for Chung Ziwei's final lap time across the line, a 1:11.156. So improvements from both Yunjin and Chung Ziwei. They are both able to make good elevation through the field and work very hard to get there. So those are a few more reasonably competitive times to add to the display for the moment, but it is Kim Young-beom who is currently the fastest on a 48.07, 6.5 seconds clear of Yeon Chun, and then Choi Hyun from Poltori, and then Jun Yin, Park Jim-young and Chung Ziwei. So a fairly reasonable start then expected by all, and certainly a very intelligent challenge by the Battlefields on this fantastic course. As the riders weave their way through the boys, you've got to wait until the rider in front of you has got completely no wash on the scene. It's not just is dissolved it, but certainly so into the run then we have those two very steely nerved competitors I mentioned before. So having said the battle was going to be very tight up at the sharp end, it's looking going to be an interesting one for Jaime Hunkach and Abraham Timur. They will come through to put their names 9th and 10th on the original scoreboard, but in what order? That's the main thing. So it's certainly going to be a pretty close run as far as the talent for pole position is concerned. Well, the riders weave their way through, looking for that fast run. Jaime Hincache and Abraham Tibor, two riders who really want to get to the top spot. Heats are good so far. And so now we're going to see if there's any more to come from these two. Also out there, of course, with Jaime Hincache is Tibor Abraham. So Tim Abraham, obviously, Tibor Abraham looking to try and fulfill more promise, more opportunity as he tries to find that little bit of extra pace. We're getting towards the halfway stages of the Masters qualifying session to conclude. There'll only be 10 riders to head out after this one to steal those points away, but I guarantee you there will still be a fairly better race than the one I've just done. So through at the end of the time lapse, two very solid efforts then to start the ball rolling in the top 10. A very creative start, it has to be said. No major catastrophes to be spoken of at the moment across the Masters category. It's just that level of experience. Maybe the confidence isn't quite where it used to be, but certainly the experience is what really pays dividends in this category. And so to be part of this fantastic community, it's very, very intense, very exciting stuff for all of the contenders as we get ourselves ready for the final 5 groups of rotation, the final 5 pairs of Masters, and then we'll get the 7 riders who will debate the elite pole position here at the Melco Style Grand Prix of Macau. The UIM MotoSurf World Championship comes to an epic crescendo of a finale, and where better to do it than here in Macau on the island of Coleraine on Hon Sa Beach. A beautiful, beautiful part of the world this, and it is stunning, the backdrop that we've got here on Hon Sa Beach. We now got Andrei Atanasov and Michel Hulard behind the wheel of their beautiful boards, grabbing onto those throttles for dear life and hoping that their wheel, or their leg positions as they use them, will give them the best turn in. It is such a physical discipline, MotoSurf. For those watching for the very first time, you are right to ask those questions that I know you're asking. Like, how is it that they are able to do that and stay on the board? Well, first of all, your guess is as good as mine. Second, these boards are designed to be fairly lightweight, but you can still get spat off them, as we've seen a few times over the course of the qualifying sessions earlier this year, earlier this afternoon, I should say. So now we wait to see what the Bulgarian Andrei Atanasov and the Czech rider Michel Hulard can contribute to this little squabble. Through to begin the time lap, I think that was Michel Hulard. So now we're waiting to see when Andrei Atanasov starts the qualifying run. And it looks like now. Just dialing the board back in, warming it up, and getting ready to charge forward. Meanwhile, all good for Michel Hulard. So Michel Hulard now finds himself in the slalom. Is going into the time lap. Looking good for a solid race display here. The competitors work their way through then the closing stages of this Masters category. Some great talents still to showcase here in Masters. First of all, just crossing the line now. I noticed there is a another young soul battling away through the elements of these boys. Andrei Atanasov's opening gambit, the Bulgarian, a 1 minute 6.504. That would put it into 7th overall. And of course, there's going to be more opposition from Michel Hulard. What can he do as he comes through? A 51.429. So Michel Hulard is already trying to close up on the tail of the fantastic battle set up by a 51.429 for Michel Hulard. That is quite astonishing if you think about it, for more than 5 seconds. So we're now waiting for those last couple of lap times to come in. So the final couple of trips over the line just to see if there's been any major changes to Group D. Well, Michel Atanasov has ended up in the water, not completing the second run. Andrei Atanasov at least improved his time, down to a 1 minute 5.010. So the time to beat is still that of Kim Yong-boom, a 48.072 on his so everybody now getting themselves dialed in for the next pair. And you know it's getting serious when so as the riders engage with the course, they know they've only got a handful of competitors to come out and try and steal the pole position away from them after this. They'll only have 8 more riders to come out and make that bid, make that quest for the final pole position here at the MACAO Style Grand Prix de Macau. What I like to think of as the second blue-rind motorsport event now of this type and of this ilk. So it'll be very cool to see what the riders can produce as we get to the sharp end. Right, yellow flag is stationary up in the air, and that is Matushka Pov. That is Matushka, who runs in the top 5 of the championship regularly. But Pavel Matushka is going very strong here at the moment. But then about to cross the line to start his flying lap is Alan Angier, based out of Hong Kong. and having had a very adventurous racing season so far. I have to tell you some of the plans to go to Restaurant Ball. I'm sitting waiting to see what the riders will be able to pull out of the bag and how big a response can it be met with. That's going to be the interesting factor here. The sun comes out again here at Macau. Good news for Matoshka and Unja, as now they don't have to worry too much about where that money So now we'll get to see what sort of pace the big guns are able to produce. As for the first time, the sun not only comes out, but actually decides to throw some heat into the equation. As Pavel Matoshka is going to try and put himself to the top spot. 48.072 is what he needs. He opens the gambit with a 122, but I'm fairly sure the fall earlier on in the lap certainly took him down a peg or two. Watch out for Unja Hong coming through. There is Alan, finishing things off in nice style on his lap to start his first one. 1 minute 5.265 for Ma Chia-Hong. A very good effort, but you have to say, with a lot of work for these two to battle away forward. Najee Chia-Hong actually deciding to go at it. Up to the slalom. Both men looking for a solid effort. Oh, who's that that's gone down in the slalom? I think that's Pavel Matoshka, you know. Yes, it is. Pavel Matoshka dropped it in the slalom. And so, very unfortunately, his best joke. And so now we wait to see just what these last two performances from these two riders will give us. They almost clattered into each other there during the slalom. So with a 48.072 to beat, it's not going to be easy for either rider to have managed to do that on this flying lap. 127 and a third place. So a 1 minute 1.983, that was going to be a very solid effort. But so far with Pavel Matoshka having only grabbed a 1 minute 27 out of the bag. And of course, Unja Chia-Hong going fastest of all with a 101.333. Very good work indeed then. The Masters category really starting to sink to unpredictability. It isn't done yet, and already we've got Kim Young-boom ahead of Michael Lular, Jaime Kikachi and Yun Chun, all ready to enjoy the battles out on the course that the Masters category will give them. We've only got a handful of racers left to be joined on the course, because now all of the competitors chance to move forward and a chance to put things into a good perspective early doors. So now we'll see what these two fierce competitors will give us in this run. Stanislav Kanichkin and Murat Yoginchila. So for Stanislav Kanichkin, this is a chance to throw himself up amongst the sharp end. Murat Yoginchila, 45 years of age, from Turkey for the My Racing team. Hoping that there's still quite a bit of performance work that can take into this particular encounter. So everybody's still judging this to be a really inspiring and exciting continuation of a journey. Yeri Blahar and Jano Vankersbulk will be the two riders out on the circuit here at the South China Sea at the end of their run. Wonder what they'll need to dress as, if they've got anything ready to dress up as. But both Kanichkin and Murat have gone into their final laps. They are looking very strong up and over the top of the finish line. Let's see what the lap times will do, as I believe that is the 62. I think that's Jorgen Schiller. And so we wait to see who's going to have the most representative and most competitive time of these two. Stanislav Kohut and Stanislav Ganichkin, I should say, and Murat Jorgenchila. So off the final turn, we wait to see what this kind of pace is going to be. Looks like a pretty confident end to the lap for sure. So still, those revs rise high. The riders are really starting to get a little bit more from the sea. The sea has suddenly become calm and no longer particularly hefty winds, no longer the need for an umbrella or two. Still cold, the temperature is pretty damp. But having said that, that is a final approach that the riders can be happy with on that one. A finished two proceedings then for Stanislav Ganichkin and Murat Jorgenchila. And a slight issue with my timing screen on that particular qualifying run. I do apologise, guys. We'll get it rectified and put right very soon indeed. We've only got a handful of riders still to see here in the Melco style Macau Grand Prix. Qualifying sessions for our riders. Stanislav Ganichkin putting off a 53.03 and a 55.56 for Murat Jorgenchila. That puts them into 6th place in the case of Jorgenchila. And it drops my 53.774 estimate. So now the riders completing what they hope is going to be a successful qualifying time lap, and we're getting the elite riders and the Masters front runners about to head out next onto the circuit to give us a little bit more giant killing entertainment. And out of the final boy, ready to get started then, are our two young contestants, Jiri Blaha and Jano Vankersbilk. Some really great battles so far coming in for the lap times, and straight into that lap has gone the Belgian Jano Vankersbilk. Really wanting this battle to go to the wire. That's just me personally. I know a lot of riders would like to tie it up several weeks in advance if they could. So the riders still trying to challenge their own senses of comfort and ability. So now let's see what sort of pace we are expecting to see. So we'll keep close tabs on Jano Vankersbilk as he works his way through. Belgian rider staying upright for the moment. But Jano Vankersbilk knows that his days at the front end of this pack are getting more and more futile. But this has also got to be a very strong performance and a good effort. So now let's see what more great delights await the drivers as we get ourselves back into the heart of the action here on the South China Sea. So we'll see what kind of pace the riders are able to cook up in the closing phase of the competition here. But these lap times, very solid for Jano Vankersbilk, but a fall, I'm afraid, for his colleague in that particular time run, namely Jiri Blaha. on the way to a 51.12. Jano Vankersbilk dropped it after a 49.07. So it's a second away, but crucially, it's a second away. And so all the riders know that it is very much now or never time if you want to grab the pole position away from Kim Yong-bum. So next up, it is going to be an interesting pairing on the side. We are exactly halfway through the season, and I had an inkling we were going to get to see Andrei Atazanov and Michael Uter eat their waves when they get out onto the course and try and quest for the top spot. But it's still very interesting to see what kind of lap times these riders are doing when the chips are down and there's a chance to move forward with it. Next up, it is Matoska Pavel and Anji Chiohong. So still they run together. Hong Ni Choi, Chinese rider, trying to push the turn-ins a little bit further forward on that side. So we'll see who is going to get the best of the fast lap times once we get bound again to the nitty-gritty of who's out on the course next. So through the first couple of boys, right on the ragged edge, looking for the fast times here. Good to see everybody still stretching the limits and trying to go for the pole time from this moment on. Pole position in the Masters category is going to get fairly seriously fought over because, of course, everybody knows that the square battle between these two riders is going to continue going to scraps all the way to the white water. Arcadia Zionora and Kim Down out on the circuit, enjoying the last big meaty run for the top spot in qualification. With Jedi Blaha and Jano Vankersbilk finishing off. Arcadia Zionora has just done a 48.067. A great run for the top spot, but it looks as though on the second lap, Arcadia Zionora has gone down into the water, so it cannot be improved upon. Now, what is going to happen for Kim Down? Kim Down crosses the line at the end of his final fly-up, but the conditions are quite different to how they were. What is Kim Down going to do? Will he go quicker than a 48.067? Yes! 47.067. So already a second more has been found by Kim Down. Excellent performance there ahead of Arcadia Zionora. And to be honest, he can bail off this lap now because Arcadia Zionora is going to see the checkered flag and not improve upon his own time. So Arcadia Zionora of I'm just excited to see what Kim Down is going to get out of this one as he surges his way through the boys. He may not have been able to find the top spot, but second place will do for Arcadia Zionora. A second down on Kim Down as the Korean comes through to finish his time on a 46.3. Wow, Kim Down finds even more time in his second run, 0.7 of a second quicker than he had gone previously. And so there you have it for the Masters. Kim Down, pole position. Arcadia Zionora second from Kim Yong-bum, Jano Vankersbilk and Jedi Blaha. Then Michal Ular and Stanislav Ganishkin from Jaime Hinkache and Yun Chun, Murad Yoginshala, and then Hyun Choi from Abraham Tibor, Anji Chiohong, Andrei Taznazov, Paul Tori, Jin Yun, Park Jin Yong, Chung Tsai Wei, and Matoska Pavel. And so we come now to the last class. The Magnificent Seven will head out onto the course very shortly indeed for the qualifying of qualifyings. These are the last 7 competitors in our competition, and they all want to be at the sharp end of the dais. They will head out onto the circuit in exactly 22 minutes' time. We'll get this final ball rolling for qualifying. Who is going to get the top spot? It's going to be very tricky to know who's going to get it done and how it's going to happen. But we will wait for the 7 riders to head out onto the course in exactly 20 minutes' time. And what a battle it will be when they get there. Adam Kolar, Miroslav Kup, Matej Kozicek, Alex Lukscheider, Matthias Novotny, Jiri Wolf, and Lucas Zahorski himself, the legend of MotoSurf. Well, they'll all head out onto the course in 20 minutes' time when the magnificent 7 of Elite will capture this course. And we might even see the first lap time in under 45 seconds. We'll find out in about 20 minutes. Welcome back to Macau, the final qualification battle of the UIM MotoSurf World Cup, the Grand Prix of Macau, brought to you by Melco Style. And the riders in the elite category are pushing the limit already. Just 7 of them will compete in elite this weekend. And Adam Kolar has already set a massive benchmark for everybody to go for. 45.902 for his first qualification lap. With the waves now quite low, the wind has died down to a little bit of a whisper. And so the elite riders will get an almost perfectly flamboyant course to play with here. And Adam Kolar is pushing to try and showcase what he can do as an elite rider. 15 years of age, the man from Brno. He crosses the line, his final flying time. 45.902 was the first one, his second one is a 45.19. Well, Adam Kolar really flies in his qualification run in the elite. And that is a benchmark worthy of his position. A fantastic start to his elite campaign, and Adam Kolar, just 15 years of age, showcasing that he's ready to become one of the world's best. So the elite category really is the Formula One of MotoSurf. All of the top pedigree riders are here. Sadly, we don't have the likes of Daniel Pavajnik, Dominic Kadlec, Dennis Berda, and Oliver Nevada, who were here at the start of the year. They've all had to focus on other things on this occasion and not be able to join us in Macau. Hopefully, they'll be back for a more full-time campaign in the MotoSurf World Championship in 2026. But that leaves us with the 7 riders who are going to play ball with the elements here. We're joined now by Miroslav Kup and Jiri Wolf. No point in trying to guess where our elite riders are from. They're all from the Czech Republic. This sport was born on the lakes of Brno. And so now it is time to see our elite riders really pushing the limit of what they can achieve. Miroslav Kup, now the latest in the competition. The 37-year-old for the JetSurf HK satellite team from Rozhnetin. The oldest of the riders in this particular rotation. But of course, he's not the oldest rider in the elite category. That is the distinction made by the 52-year-old Jiri Wolf, who still has incredible dexterity and amazing speed for his incredible years. So across the line to complete the first run, and almost airborne through the first buoy, Miroslav Kup getting himself into the 46s already. 46.808 for the 37-year-old. Very good run indeed then from Miroslav Kup, but there's more to do as the 52-year-old Jiri Wolf wants to put himself into that top 2 position. Cannoning his way through the slalom, trying his best to bring things to a crescendo. Here is Jiri Wolf to try and improve his current position. Looks good, looks tidy. Out through the slalom comes Miroslav Kup, trying to balance things out. 49.0 for Jiri Wolf. Here comes Miroslav Kup to finish off his final flying lap. Checkered flag is in the air. Miroslav Kup goes from a 46.80 to a 46.80 again. Just 4 thousandths of a second difference in the lap times. So Miroslav Kup is 1.6 seconds away from pole. Here is Jiri Wolf, who still wants to showcase his prolific ability in the elite category. And there will be just 4 riders to come after these 2. But they will be the 4 bad boys of MotoSurf, pushing their incredible talents to the limit here in Macau to go for one final title. As Jiri Wolf crosses the line, his lap is good enough to be a 49.6. Not as good as the previous lap. So he will end on a 49.0. But all of the riders in the elite category expected to go sub 50 seconds. 45.19 then for Adam Kolar. So we get 2 more stupendous riders in the elite category. And boy, are we in for a treat now, because these 2 are 2 of the very best in the world. Matej Kozicek and Lukas Johorski. 2 of the very best MotoSurf riders to ever grace this sport. Matej Kozicek, a very talented competitor on his day, knows exactly how to push it to the limit. And we're certainly going to see some sparks flying now from these 2 riders who've been working so hard over the course of the day. They've given it everything they've got right from the start. Matej Kozicek with a real chance to shine here, the number 77, the 19-year-old from Petrovice, the FG Forest Racing rider. And Lukas Jahorski, the 24-year-old from Brno, multiple world champion, reigning world number 1, gold medalist in the World Games 2025. Came out of retirement to give the elite category another go because he really wanted to fly one more time. And so he's got a chance to shine. But these two riders already putting on a storm. Here we go. Lukas Jahorski working his way through the first boys as here comes Matej Kozicek. Kozicek looking to come through and finish the first time run. What is his time going to be? Will it be the 45.197? Yes! 42.98! Absolutely majestic from Matej Kozicek. No worries at all. 42.9, the fastest lap we've seen all day. But I've got a feeling there's even more where that came from. Here comes Lukas Jahorski out of the final boy, attacking it with gusto. Can he go even quicker? Lukas Jahorski, 41.24. And down in the drink as he does so. Lukas Jahorski lays down the gauntlet, 41.24. Here's Matej Kozicek. Can Kozicek find anything more in his second time run? Checkered flag is out for him. 42.823. It's quick, but it's not quick enough to beat Lukas Jahorski. 41.24. Can anybody beat that? This is why Lukas Jahorski really is the best in the world at the moment. Such incredible pace. He's not had the consistency this year, but when he's on it, he is absolutely uncrushable. But now there are just two men to face the waves, and they are the two men that will go to battle for the elite title championship fight along with Lukas Jahorski. Jahorski is 9 points off the championship lead. He needs a miracle to win this championship, but he does have the ability to find that miracle. They're all together in the same group, don't forget. If he wins and his riders, close opponents are behind him, he can gain back the 9 points quite consistently over the time. But the two men he's got to beat are the two best men of this 2025 season so far. Alex Lukscheider and Matthias Novotny. So Lukas Jahorski, championship contender, 9 points off the lead, has thrown down the gauntlet to everybody else in this competition. What have you got? 41.24 is the time to beat. So for Matthias Novotny and Alex Lukscheider, it's time to find the impossible. Out onto the course, these two men know exactly what's at stake. Matthias Novotny, reigning world champion. Alex Lukscheider, the championship leader for the early part of the season, and certainly showcasing his incredible speed. Could well be leading the championship, of course, had we not had the cancelled finals at Fujairah at the beginning of the season. So for Alex Lukscheider and Matthias Novotny, it's time to show that Lukas Jahorski can be vanquished. But they've really got to find something special. So Novotny is getting some airtime to build himself up, to boost that adrenaline. There is nothing like flying around this course at the limit, trying to find a lap time in under 42 seconds. Currently, it's Lukas Jahorski on a 41.2. Matej Kozicek is a second and a half slower than Adam Kolar, Miroslav Kurp and Jiri Wolf, all within 8 seconds. But now it's time for the two best riders of 2025 to find the pole lap. Here goes Alex Lukscheider. A great shot. Oh, he's gone into the first buoy. Alex Lukscheider drops it on the opening buoy. I cannot believe it. The 19-year-old, the captain of the Apex Pilots team, has made the error in the very first buoy. That is the man who led the championship from the opening round at Fujairah. He's lost a bit of ground, to Matthias Novotny over the season. But he told me he's got nothing but confidence coming into this one. He's got to set himself up for that second run again. What drama as the very first boy on the course catches out Alex Lukscheider. So here comes the championship leader. Matthias Novotny now goes for it. 2 laps. The fastest of the laps is the one that's going to give you the best chance of a best starting position. And Novotny attacks these boys with urgency. Through 4, tucks in. Through 5, aggressively kicks in through 6 and then through 7. I cannot believe that Alex Lukscheider made so big an error on his first flyer. He's now going to build himself up for another go. Here comes Lukscheider for another try. Across the finish line, the first time won't be the good one. But the 19-year-old isn't done yet. And he's going to be going head-to-head with his fellow 19-year-old Czech, the man from Petrovice. The 17-year-old, sorry, for Rocket Racing, Matthias Novotny, the reigning champion. And Matthias Novotny, a 41.978 to get this ball rolling. It's not quite quicker than Zahorski, but it's only 0.7 of a second back. If you can find that in the second lap, he's going to get the pole position. And don't count out Alex Lukscheider. He may have fallen on the first boy, but he's ready to fight back with determination. This is going to be so tight. Here comes Lukscheider. He's leaning on everything. Across the line, what can he do? 43.2 for Lukscheider. It's not going to be good enough, but what about Novotny? Can he find the pole across the line? Has he done it? No, 41.884. He tried his best, but Lukas Zahorski is unbeatable in qualifying in Macau. What a fantastic attempt from Novotny and Lukscheider. They dug deep, they did everything they could. But first blood to Lukas Zahorski. And this is a big opportunity now for Zahorski to take big points off Novotny and Lukscheider in the championship fight. He comes into this week in 3rd place in the standings. Can Lukas Zahorski turn this championship fight around? He's 3rd in the standings, but if he keeps finding these victories tomorrow, he can suddenly push himself back into the lead of the championship. When everybody's in the same group together, 9 points is achievable. And Lukas Zahorski has given himself the best possible chance of going from 3rd in the standings to become the new world champion. What a comeback from Lukas Zahorski. Pole position for tomorrow's heats. Novotny 2nd, Kozicek 3rd. Alex Lukscheider has to be content with P4. Kolar, Kups, and Yeri Wolf. But we go into tomorrow's qualifying heats with a showdown in the offing. Lukas Zahorski is 9 points back in this championship fight. Across the 4 qualifying heats and the final, if he makes up 10 points on his rivals, he'll be the world champion. What a way to end Friday here at the UIM MotoSurf Melco Style Grand Prix of Macau. Tomorrow and Sunday are going to be epically exciting as the best riders in MotoSurf will take on the challenge of Hansar Beach and the China Sea. What a battle it's going to be from Jake Sanson here on the beachfront at the island of Colaway in Macau. We are going to have an amazing overnight prospect where these riders are just going to gain in adrenaline and confidence. When we come back tomorrow for the qualifying heats, champions will be crowned, races will be warred over, and the battle will intensify. See you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.